Hello. Are we live? We are live. Oh, sorry. 6 p.m. Was it meant to be 6 p.m.? Oh, I thought I said 6:30. Oh no. See, if I thought I said 6:30, which means I'm early. So I'm 2 minutes early. I'm the early Lord Haven, right? How we got 70 people in the chat. 70 people watching. Very nice. Very sorry for making everyone wait, but I gotta stay on brand. What can I say? Okay, because I spent so long, let's just dive right into it, shall we? We are going to be doing a predictions live stream just before episode 1. So this will be predictions for the entire season. Now, just to clarify, as it says in the title, this is spoilers. Okay, this is completely 100% spoilers. And I'm talking about book spoilers and, piecing together what we know from Fire and Blood with what we've seen in trailers, a couple of behind the scenes stuff we've seen. So it's not like leaks. I'm not gonna. I've avoided some of the specific episode leaks, but it will be a general spoilery discussion. So if you don't want to be spoiled for stuff that's from the book, do not watch this live stream. Just warning you. Okay, with that out of the way, I think we should begin. Right? Okay, let's begin. So we're going to be going character by character and breaking them down and finding out what they're going to do in season 2. Feel free to like the video and have fun in the chat. And if you want to send in a super chat, feel free to send in a super chat. I'll read it out. This is my job after all, and it helps support the channel. There's a Streamlabs link in the description if you want to send a Streamlabs donation, which means that I get all of your donation. YouTube doesn't steal a bunch of it. And I'll read those out at the very end. But yeah, without further ado, let's begin. Okay, this is fancy. See, I'm doing Quinn the GM style. This is wild. I'm doing a Quinn style canvas slideshow. That's very fun. So, we are first off going to begin with Rhaenyra Targaryen. Big Ray don't play. So, what is Rhaenyra going to be getting up to this season? At the end of last season, excuse me, what's going on there? Get out of the way. At the end of last season, we saw Rhaenyra have basically a 1-2-3 punch of horrific circumstances. First off, her father died. Then she found out her brother, her half brother, had usurped the throne. Then she miscarried as a result of that shock. And then her son Lucerys was brutally chomped by Vhagar and Aemond. And so at the end of the last season, she gives that burning red glare into the camera. Someone's saying the audio is low. I'm going to turn the audio up a little bit. There we go. How's that? Is that better? Let me know about the audio. I've had to reconfigure stuff and reinstall stuff, so it might not be peak quality, but there we go. Yes, she gives that stare at the end of last season. She looks like she wants revenge. Now, in Fire and Blood, off the bat, she's a far more ruthless character. So even before the Civil War breaks out, she orders Daemon Targaryen to execute Vaemond Velaryon, who's confronting her about the fact her children are bastards, right? And straight off the bat, at the start of the Civil War, she wants to get rough and ready. She wants to fight. She wants to be ruthless. In the show, she's toned down. So she's not involved in Laenor Velaryon's death. She helps him fake his death. She's very she's very reticent and cautious. She's angry, but she's cautious. In episode 10, she's thinking, okay, let's not just rush into war. Let's look at our alliances. Let's work through negotiation. Let's stall Otto for a bit. Let's work out how we get through this without causing fire and blood, right? Whereas Daemon's the aggressive one. So that's the change there with Rhaenyra. But then at the end of last season, we thought, okay, is that look to the camera? Does that mean things are officially going to change? Is she going to start this season like, we're going to go to King's Landing, we're going to burn everyone down, we're going to get revenge? I didn't think so. I think she's going to remain... She will be put off balance by her grief. That's an understatement. She'll be shaken by it, and I think she will be vengeful. But I don't think she's going to go full burn down King's Landing, Fire and Blood, blah, blah, blah. She's still going to retain her humanity, because we want to see, with a lot of these characters, we want to see the Civil War gradually break them down, twist them. We don't want them to be want them to be messed up early on. We don't want them to start the Civil War super ruthless, because then they have nowhere to go. There needs to be an arc. So I think we'll see Rhaenyra becoming more, as she experiences more losses, there'll be more grief and there'll be more anger and more ruthlessness. But to start with, I think first off we're going to ease into that in episode 1. I think that's what's going to happen. Now, again, I will say this again, spoiler stream. So we're talking about spoilers from the books. Go if you don't want spoilers. But Blood and Cheese, Sir Blood and Cheese, my favourite. Does she order? Is she involved? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say she's not remotely involved in that. I don't think it would. I never thought book Rhaenyra was involved, to be fair. But in no universe would show Rhaenyra order the death of Helena's son. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't work with Daemon, maybe, but Rhaenyra, no. So what else is she going to get up to in season 2? I think she'll have a falling out with Daemon, which leads to him going to Harrenhal. I think that falling out will be related to Sir Blood and Cheese. And I think that joke will make sense in a while, trust me. And I think she's... Because that's the thing, in a book, she's very much... When the war begins, she's kind of sitting on her ass, and she's sitting on her ass, not really... deliberately... she's politicking, but she's not really travelling. And she's not fighting, because it's super risky. She's not riding a dragonback. So this season, how do you make Rhaenyra do something? Because you can't have the protagonist who was super popular and the face of season 1, arguably. You can't have her sitting around and not doing anything. So we're gonna, in those trailers, we saw her on dragonback. I think that's her looking for Lucerys's body. We're gonna have her obviously training the dragon seeds. That'll be fun. Probably engaging in all kind of politics around the Black Council table. And who knows, maybe there'll be a bunch of surprises in store for us. Yeah. And personally, people have been wondering how the season's going to end, because the original thought was, well, episode 9 will be Battle of the Gullet, and episode 10 will be the Fall of King's Landing. But then it was cut down to 8 episodes, and we haven't heard anything about Battle of the Gullet. So my personal instinct is that episode 8 will be the Fall of King's Landing. That they're going to shuffle things around. They're going to bring the Fall of King's Landing before the Battle of the Gullet, and Rhaenyra will take it in episode 8, and this season will be building up to that moment, I think. Okay, we do have a super chat. You know what? I will do the super chats live. I was going to wait till the end, but I'll do them now. Thank you for the super chat from the one, the only Lala Loopsy, who says, worst Targaryen in history, no shitfires included. I will not include the shitfires. Worst in history. It depends what you mean by worst. If you mean by most evil, then that probably goes to Maegor the Cruel. That's if you're admonishing Aerys II on account of being so insane that he might not legally stand a trial in real life. You know what I'm saying? Like he might literally have psychosis. So in terms of cruelty, Maegor. In terms of competence, who do you say the least competent Targaryen? I mean, we had Aenys the First was pretty incompetent. Aegon the Fourth, obviously highly corrupt, not just a horrible human being, who, as his values and kind of humanity degenerated, so did his body. And he was corrupt and grotesque. Oh, you know what? Let's go. See, the thing is, Aegon the Fourth wasn't like a tyrant. The commoners weren't scared of him. It's just that he was corrupt and gross and tyrannized the nobles a bit. Maegor the Cruel, everyone was scared of him. But then you could argue, well, maybe that was a good thing. Maybe he's the only reason the Targaryen dynasty stayed in power, right? I'm gonna go the safe bet. I'm gonna go safe, and I'm gonna say Maegor the Cruel. That's like when someone asks you, who's the evilest person ever, and the safe answer is just Hitler, right? You don't need much of a debate, just Hitler. So I'm going to go Maegor, but I'm sure there'll be lots of people disagreeing. The worst Targaryen. Or, maybe, the worst Targaryen is... Rhaegar. No, I'm joking. Sorry, I was distracted. I have a... Thank you for the super chat from Ioway, who says... Dead... Simeon. Right. I don't know why, that's kind of random, but thanks, I guess. Thank you for the monkey business. Yeah, I knew this would stir up. I've got in the chat, we've got Maegor as based, we've got Maegor the Chad, Maegor the Innocent, Maegor the Jesus, Boombler, he's a patron of mine. He has a special theory that Maegor is an allegory for Jesus Christ. Viserys the First might be the most incompetent. Yes, I forgot about him, ironically, because we're talking about House of the Dragon. Okay, let's move on, shall we? Who do we have next? Next up on Team Black, Prince Daemon Targaryen. Of course, I do want to quickly mention this live stream is sponsored by D-Fuel, which is Daemon Targaryen's own brand of energy drink. So if you want to grab some D-Fuel, we have a brand new flavour. We have smoked crab made from the flaky, stony flesh of the crab feeder. May he rest in peace. But yeah, links are in the description below. Okay, so Daemon, where is Daemon's character going to go? Well, there are two different... We can approach this from two different angles. From one angle, we have Daemon continuing the trajectory of Season 1, which is an angry, unstable, psychopathic wild card. Very fun, very likeable, very cool, very charismatic, but nonetheless, he's a bit of a psychopath who seems to love and crave conflict, and he needs purpose, whether it's trolling his brother or trying to find some sort of love from his brother, whether it's getting with Rhaenyra, whether it's fucking rebuilding the Valyrian Empire or whatever. Like, he needs purpose, and this war gives him purpose, and so he's going to full-heartedly dive into this war, cause as much chaos as possible, as much violence as possible, because that's the kind of character he is. It's almost like this is a release for him. He gets to fight, in his mind, a justified bloody war, cut off some heads, and help his wife sit the Iron Throne. Now, the other way to look at this is that this season won't just be a continuation of Season 1 Daemon, it will be deconstructing his character a bit. It will be breaking him down. It'll be exploring his psyche. And I say that because that's basically what Ryan Condal has said. The showrunner, Brian Fondle, he said that Daemon's going to Harrenhal, and obviously in Harrenhal you haven't got many characters, right? You have Alice Rivers and you have Sir Simon Strong, who we'll talk about later, but other than that, there's not many characters. So what do you do? What do you do with Matt Smith for an entire season? The first couple of episodes, he'll probably be on Dragonstone, then he'll move to Harrenhal after Blood and Cheese, I guess, and then maybe Fall of King's Landing at the end. But what about all those other episodes? Is he just Matt Smith staring into a corner, looking badass? I mean, I'd watch it. But there's got to be more to it, and from what we've learned, the writers this season, they've said this openly in interviews, they want Harrenhal, they really want to push forward the idea of cursed Harrenhal, right? Harrenhal being this trippy, psychedelic place. I think we're going to see visions, prophecies, dreams. Now, that could be the Harrenhal curse as a concept being legitimized, like there genuinely is a Harrenhal curse, or it could be Daemon's just tired and stressed, maybe he's having a mental breakdown. My personal theory is that it's Alice Rivers sort of spiking him, poisoning him, making him trip out, and in doing so we're going to learn more about him and his insecurities and fears and wants and dreams and desires, and I think that'd be really fun. And the reason I say Alice Rivers is because there was a leaked audition tape for an Alice Rivers scene last year. It wasn't Gail Rankin who's actually playing Alice Rivers. It was, who was it? I can't remember her name. It was another actress doing it. She didn't get the part, obviously, but in that part of that audition tape where she refers to herself as AR instead of Alice Rivers, very subtle, she talks about she gives an elixir to help Daemon sleep, and she's like, drink up, don't worry, it's not poison. So that makes me think, is she going to spike his drink and make him trip out just for fun? I can see that would be cool. But yeah, so before we move on, I want to explore the main thing, which is Sir Blood and Cheese. He's just one guy, Blood and Cheese. I don't know why everyone keeps acting like there are two of them. It's Blood and Cheese. Will Daemon... Okay, so obviously Daemon will hire them, probably with the help of Mysaria, but what is the plan? Is he going to say, I want you to kill a son for a son, Prince Jaehaerys Targaryen? Or is it going to be a kind of telephone, Chinese whispers kind of deal where he says to Mysaria, I want you to... we need to kill so-and-so, and Mysaria says to them, we want to kill so-and-so, and Blood and Cheese misinterpret it, and it's kind of like a misunderstanding all over again, like most of Season 1? Or is it going to be a case of like, because I've never really liked that Daemon was like, okay, we've got people who can come into the Red Keep, we can assassinate anyone, let's go out of our way to assassinate the least interesting or necessary person, a random toddler. Like, we could go after anyone. Or we could kill all the kids and mess up the greens and make the line of succession, whittle it down, right? But no, we're just going to kill one. I always found that was, sadism taking over from logic. And I was just like, I prefer the whole, which one are you going to choose, son for son? I prefer that being a more blood and cheese improvise than Daemon just being like, kill this random kid, because that's just kind of stupid. It's kind of, he's a smart man, right? He's not going to plan this whole thing. I get in the book, it's like, King Aegon is in Maegor's holdfast, surrounded by Kingsguard, so Daemon's like, we can't assassinate him. But there are so many other people you could go after. Alicent, Otto, Aemond, or killing all of Aegon's children to make things riskier. But, interesting to see how the show handles it, because I want some logic behind it, but I also don't want it to just be full-blown constant miscommunication. I want some balance between Daemon giving a brutal order, but then Blood and Cheese improvising a bit and going too far, and I don't know. But anyway, what do you think? Let me know what you think, because not everyone agrees with me there, but let's move on. Next up, we have, there he is, Prince Daenerys Targaryen. He's got a straighter back this season. He's got curly hair. He is looking dashing, may I say. So, what's Jace going to be up to? So my first thought was, obviously at the end of last season, Jacaerys is sent off to the Eyrie to persuade Lady Jane Arryn to join Rhaenyra. Wait, hold on a second. Yeah, there we go. Can I ask a question to everyone, actually, before we continue? What's on everyone's screen right now? What's on everyone's screen? Yes, my slideshow isn't working, is it? Yeah, I thought so. Aha, there we go. My slideshow's working now. Okay. It was acting a bit. It looks like it's slightly delayed. It's slightly delayed. Did everyone see the Daemon one? Did you all see the Daemon slide? I'm gonna go back. Did you see the Daemon slide? It wasn't that funny, but it did have D-Fuel in it. Turn the volume up too. Damn. Okay. I will turn the volume up a bit. There we go. I'm also, to be fair, I am speaking a bit quieter than usual because it's midnight in the UK and I don't want to wake up the neighbour upstairs. You didn't see the Daemon slide. What is going on? This is outrageous. There we go. It should be... yeah, there we go. The Daemon slide. I don't know why it wasn't working. Yeah, sorry. There we go. There's Daemon. There's D-Fuel. The joke has failed because you didn't see it. Let's move on to Jacaerys, shall we? And yes, I will I'll turn up the mic full volume. How's that? How do I sound now? Oh, wow, yeah, no, those levels are low. They should be in the red. Oh, what's going on there? Okay. Apologies for the audio. My next stream will be sorted out. Like I said, I've reconfigured a whole bunch of stuff. I've reinstalled stuff, so that's why. Okay, moving on from D-Fuel to Jacaerys. So yes, going to Jane Arryn to try and persuade her to join the Black Cause. Now in the book, I swear to God, if people are like, now you're too loud, bro, don't mess with me. Yeah, sorry, he goes to persuade Jane Arryn to join Team Black, and then while he's there, people say, how did he persuade her? Well, some sources say that Jane Arryn was like, well, Rhaenyra's my cousin, and plus she says us women need to stay together in this world of men, because of course, if she didn't support Rhaenyra, then she's almost putting into question her own legitimacy as the Lady of the Vale. She has male cousins who have tried to usurp her, and she's imprisoned. So it makes sense for her to support the female claimant to the throne for her own position. So there's lots of fun stuff going on there. And then Jace, or if you ask Mushroom, Jane Arryn joined Team Black because Jace gave her the old lickaroo, which is ridiculous, but there we go. Anyway, then Jace flies up to Winterfell, talks to Lord Stark. In the book, Pact of Ice and Fire, right? They teamed up. Maybe Cregan's half-sister, Sarah Snow, is involved in some capacity. You know, there's a rumour that he fell in love with his bastard sister, Stark's bastard sister, and they married, and that was sort of part of this pact. Other people say Sarah Snow didn't exist. What's going to happen this season? So I'm concerned because I've heard some people say that Jacaerys comes back from his expedition in episode 1, and I would hate that. I would despise that so much. Are you kidding me? Like, in my head, this season is Jace's storyline is traveling through Westeros, right? Have a couple of episodes of him at the Eyrie. He's trying to get Jane Arryn on his side. We meet Jane Arryn. Maybe we meet Jane Arryn's probable lover, Jessamine Redfort. Maybe we see Sir Royce. Was it Gunthor Royce? Gerald Royce? I think it's a Gerald Royce whose cousin, Rhea Royce, was murdered by Daemon in season 1, and he could be like, well, I'm a Royce, and I think we should join Aegon. I haven't got an issue with Rhaenyra, but she's married to the man who murdered my cousin. He's a psychopath. And then you could have a bit of a debate, but then Jacaerys wins, right? And then he flies to Winterfell, and you have a few episodes where they're having bro time. Cregan and Jace, you know, they're arm wrestling, they're playing Halo on the Xbox, they're having fun. They go to the wall like we see in the trailer. But I've also heard that's not going to happen. I've heard some people say that we're not going to see him in the Vale at all. That's off screen, and that him and Cregan is like one scene and then he comes back. I would hate that so much. Can you imagine if we're deprived of all of that fun stuff, and then he comes back and then doesn't do anything for like the rest of the season? He's just sitting around Dragonstone like twiddling his thumbs. That would be very annoying. So I do hope we see him do a proper expedition. I have a bad feeling it's going to be cut down, but when he comes back from Dragonstone, what is there for him to do? Maybe he can take part in some politics stuff, some Dragonseed stuff. If Battle of the Gullet is being moved to next season, that's cool, because of course Battle of the Gullet is where Jacaerys meets his end. And we want him to stay alive as long as possible, because I want to see more of this actor, I want to see more of this character. He was cool in season 1. He was the sort of aggressive, hot-headed Strong, you know. He was a very good companion to Lucerys, who's a bit more anxious. But there we go. Shall we move on from... Yeah, and of course he's all chatted up now. You know, they've let loose his beautiful locks. He's no longer wearing he no longer has the yee-ass haircut, you know. But now it's time to move on, and hopefully the slideshow works. So next up, this slide we're going to be looking at the rest of Rhaenyra's living children. Rest in peace, Lucerys. So that's Prince Joffrey Velaryon, her third child with Sir Harwin Strong, and Prince Aegon and Prince Viserys, her two toddlers with Prince Daemon. There we go, the slideshow is working, that's good. So what are they going to get up to? So this will be a quick one. So cute little Joffrey, there he is. He's had like 3 actors so far. Joffrey is... In the book, Joffrey and Rhaena are sent off to the Vale, basically to keep him safe. It's also, you know, a propaganda thing where they're like, the Vale is now protected by Joffrey and his dragon. Although I don't know how effective how effective that is as propaganda, considering he's like a tiny child with a tiny dragon. But hey, a dragon is a dragon. So Joffrey, I think he's just going to keep being in the background. Casual viewers need to be reminded that she has another child called Joffrey, and it's like, hey, remember him, because he's going to be more important later, and he'll be chilling in the Vale. As for Aegon and Viserys, yeah, they're going to show them off more. Why did I do a slide talking about these kids? Like, I have nothing to say about them. So yeah, Battle of the Gullet stuff. These Aegon and Viserys are more important during the Battle of the Gullet, which I think is being pushed to next season. So yeah, I think we'll see Joffrey go to the Vale. We'll see all of these 3 kids not fleshed out, but referenced more, so the viewer doesn't forget. But yeah, moving on, we have, and again, I'll wait for the slideshow to catch up. Moving on, we have the one, we have the one, the only Baela Targaryen, Princess Baela. So what's she going to be up to? Baela and Rhaena don't really do much in Fire and Blood at all. I probably should have had this as one slide. As you know, Rhaena being a separate slide is intentional. We'll get into that. But Baela and Rhaena, they don't do much in Fire and Blood. But Baela has more to do near the end. And of course, Rhaena basically doesn't do anything except go to the Vale. So I think what they're going to do this season is, first off, as you can see from this screenshot, right, which is from the trailer, we're going to see her riding Moondancer. So I suspect she's going to take part in the Battle of Rook's Rest to some capacity. Maybe she goes first, and then Rhaenys sort of flies after her. Or maybe Rhaenys goes first, and then she goes to fight with her grandmother. Maybe they go at the same time, and it's an agreed thing. I don't know. I'd prefer it if it was... I would prefer it if either it was agreed that her and Rhaenys were going to help the Stauntons at Rook's Rest, or if Rhaenys goes off to help, ordered by Rhaenyra, and then Baelor chases after her. Like, I want to help my grandmother. If it's the other way around, if it's that, like, trope of, like, the young hothead runs off into danger, and then the mentor figure goes off to save them, and then ends up, you know, the mentor is punished in some way, and then it's like, oh no, what a mistake I've made. I was so young and arrogant. I've blah, blah, blah. That's such an annoying trope, so I hope they don't do it that way around. But, yeah, they're going to have her take part. Because she's the more tomboyish of the twins. She likes to ride. She likes to hop on a dragon. She got that short hair. Well, maybe not in the show, but in the book she got that short hair. And beyond this, I think we're probably going to see her bonding with Jacaerys, because they are betrothed, and we don't really know what their relationship is like in the book. And in the show, they just stand next to each other silently. So I suspect we're going to see Baelor and Jacaerys just getting on. Just flesh both of them out. Let them have some fun. But yeah, there's not much to say about her. However, there is quite a lot to say about her twin sister, Princess Rhaena. Waiting for the slideshow to catch up again. So in the book, what does Rhaena do? She goes to the Vale, and then she sits in the Vale doing nothing, and then she hatches an egg called Morning, which is pretty cool. And some people kind of see Morning being hatched as the supernatural symbolic ending of the dance to some capacity. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, other than that, she doesn't do much. And it's like, okay, so this is where we have to have the big discussion about Nettles. So in the book, there are 4 dragon seeds, and one of the dragon seeds is called Nettles. She's a common girl with brown skin, brown hair, and brown eyes, but she's able to tame a wild dragon who hasn't been ridden before, called Sheepstealer, who doesn't attack humans, he attacks sheep. And what she does is, she gets sheep, she gets meat for the dragon, and every time the Sheepstealer comes to eat, she gets closer and closer to it until they end up bonding. And so okay, let's break this down. So, I've got to do that annoying live streamer thing where I'm like, okay, let's break this down. So what is the point of Nettles' character in the book? First off, she provides a commoner perspective. Right, she is lowborn. Most of the dance is about highborn squabbling over succession and slaughtering a bunch of peasants and low-class people in the process. So Nettles provides a lowborn perspective that we are sorely lacking in the story. Another thing she provides is she provides like an interesting concept. The idea that, you know, all these pure highborn Targaryens with their purple eyes and pale skin and pale hair, they are the blood of the dragon. Well, we have Nettles, who, you know, is mixed race, and boom, she's able to ride a dragon, so what's that about? Some people say it's proof that you don't need Valyrian blood to ride a dragon, but that's not how I interpreted it. I interpret it as she is a dragon seed, she's just mixed, and just because she doesn't have any prominent Valyrian features, like silver hair or purple eyes or whatever, that doesn't mean you can't ride a dragon, right? Like, she might just have a drop of dragon blood, and that in itself could be foreshadowing for maybe Summer Song of Ice and Fire character in the books, with a tiny drop of dragon blood being able to ride a dragon. I don't know. But then, of course, Nettles also has that relationship with Daemon, and maybe she's Daemon's bastard daughter. We don't know. Maybe Daemon treats her as a daughter, like a protege. Maybe Daemon grooms her because he has a tendency to groom underage women. Maybe it's both. Maybe she's his daughter and he grooms her, which is the most cursed scenario. And then at the end of the dance, Rhaenyra is kind of getting a bit crazy, getting a bit paranoid. The 2 of the dragon seeds turn against her, and so she goes, Nettles. Nettles is also turning against me, and she's seducing my husband, and she's a whore, and, you know, I want her dead. And I never liked that ending. I never liked the whole crazy, paranoid Rhaenyra who thinks Nettles. I always thought that was lame, and that leading to Daemon basically going, screw it, I've had enough, and kamikazeing Aemond. obviously, the Battle of the God's Eye is awesome, but I thought the whole Rhaenyra getting crazy about Nettles, I always found that really bizarre and lame, and I hope the show does not go down that path. And so, as such, I've got mixed feelings about the rumour that they are merging Rhaena with Nettles. I probably should have led with that. I've just been rambling about about a character called Nettles without explaining. Yeah, I'm sorry. So there is a rumour that this important character Nettles isn't going to be in a show, and that Nettles' storyline is being merged with Rhaena's storyline. So I've explained who Nettle is and why they're important to the story. What do I think about, and this is just a rumour, might not be true, but what do I think about this potential mixing of storylines? So I'm in two minds about it. See, this is like a rare change from the book. Well, I'm not like, yeah, this is a great change, really smart. But I'm also not like, screw you, you ruined the show, this is terrible, why would you do that? I'm like perfectly down the middle. Like, I completely respect both opinions. If someone's like, I think this is a good choice, and other people are like, no, that's stupid, Nettles is a great character, why would you do this? I'm like, yeah, I respect both of you. I'm fine with both. So let's go through the pros and the cons. So starting with the pros. The pros, it gives Rhaena something to do. She's an important character. She's Daemon's daughter. It would suck if she just sat in the Vale doing nothing. The whole show, it would be like, what is the point of her? So letting her, like... And also, it has been set up in the season prior, season 1, that she doesn't have a dragon, and Daemon is a bit distant towards her because she doesn't have a dragon. She has that heartfelt scene with her mother, Laena, in episode 6. Excuse me, about not being able to hatch a dragon. And then, of course... in episode 10, when Daemon is talking about, we have this, he's naming all the antidepressants. He's like, we have Tyraxes, we have Cyrax, we have Meles, we have Caraxes. And he says, we have some unclaimed dragons. And the camera cuts to Rhaena. And I always notice that because I'm so smart. I remember noticing that and being like, why are they cutting to Rhaena in that shot? Like, I know she doesn't have a dragon, but she only gets one, like, when morning hatches. So, like, that seems like... And then part of me, so I did always suspect this merge could be happen, but it has been set up. It has been foreshadowed. She wants a dragon. She's desperate. Daemon mentions unclaimed dragons, and she looks up interested, like, So I guess the idea is that Sheepstealer would be a dragon in the Vale, and Rhaena would claim him. And then she would fulfill the role of being Daemon's, she is literally Daemon's daughter, so then maybe they can have some bonding time, humanize Daemon a bit, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how you would make Rhaenyra like jealous of her or suspecting she's a traitor, but to be fair, I never liked that plot thread anyway, so if they cut that, I'm fine. If they can change that, I'm fine with that. So those are the pros. It gives Rhaena stuff to do. It's been foreshadowed. We could have some cool Daemon Rhaena time. The bad and the cons are we lose that lowborn perspective, which I think is very important. We are deprived of just a cool character. Like, Nettles is just a cool character. You can't deny that. And 3, I think there might be some people who are like, and I'm not one of these people, but I can understand why some people would be like, wait, hold on, why are you cutting, like, a dark-skinned character to replace them with a new dark-skinned character? Like, what, like, can't we have more than 2 dark-skinned women? Like, why do you need to merge them? Which isn't my perspective, but I can see why some people would say that and be a bit annoyed by that. But let me know in the chat, do you like this change? Genuinely, do you like the change? You know what? Why don't I do a classic poll? You know I love my live stream polls. I'll do a poll. The Rhaena, and I think I did this poll in my previous live stream, and I got some interesting results. So the Rhaena Nettles merge, do we like it? And I'll also add a kind of neutral for people who are like me, who I'm like, I kind of like it, but also I don't know. So I'm starting the poll now. Check the chat to see the poll. It says Rhaena merging with Nettles. You can vote yes if you like that idea, no if you don't, and neutral if you're like, honestly, I don't know. Let's see how it goes. We have a super chat from Iowa. Thank you, Iowa, again, who previously sent me the super chat saying Dead Monkey. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure I've been trolled in some way. Iowa says, Best Kingdom, Lazarine. I'll tell you what, the way Jorah says Lazarine in, is it season 1? My goodness. Where he's just like, the Lazarine, Khaleesi. I was like, ooh, tingles down my back. Yeah, the Lazarine, the sheep people. Hey, don't let sheep steal it there. That's all I can say. And thank you for the super chat from Jai Hayes, who says, Jace had that gamer posture. He did. All throughout season 1 is so funny. Just the kind of the hunched, and then there's that that picture of him from episode 8 after what's his name? After Aemond is like strong boys and Jace gets angry. There's that picture of him like with his shoulders hunched and like he's clutching his fist and he's weirdly leaning forwards and he's got that like why I oughta pose. Why I oughta. I always found. Oh, he's funny. He's a funny guy. Okay, what are people saying? Let's check the chat. We've got some people in the chat. We've got hello, Jane Theory. How you doing, Jane Theory? I think I've heard of Jane Theory before. I'm sure I've heard. Every now and then I get people commenting in the chat, and I'm like, I recognize their name, but I'm not sure how. And I feel rude because I'm like, damn, how do I not know? But there are so many YouTubers out there. But likewise, we have the amount of fucking just Game of Thrones characters in the chat. We've got Chad Summerchild. Hello, Chad. We have Viserys II. Nice to meet you. Oh man. House of Law. Hi, House of Law. We got. I haven't been checking the chat. We've got some awesome people in the chat. Hey guys. Okay, and thank you. Oh my god, thank you, Andre, for the super chat. Andre, he sends me 3 green heart emojis. I think we know what team he's on, and he sent $100, which is, again, this man claims he does like painting for a living, plastering for a living. This man is a member of the World Economic Forum. Let's not pretend. Andre is my sugar daddy. Every now and then he'll drop into a live stream and give me $100. He's absolutely a member of the World Economic Forum. That's the only explanation. Okay, how is the poll going? So, 46% are saying no, Rhaena should not merge with Nettles. 39%, 40% now are neutral on it, and only 15 are saying yes, this is a good idea. So no and neutral are very, very close, but very few people are saying that yes, it's actively a good idea. Oh, and also thank you to Quinn the GM for popping up. I'm mentioning all these YouTubers appearing. And meanwhile, my friend Quinn's been in the chat, and I've just been ignoring him. Hi, Quinn. How are you doing, Quinn? I love you. Speaking of, Quinn the GM and I, every Monday, post-episode breakdown. Monday at 6 p.m. EST, or EDT rather. We'll be breaking down the episode together. That'll be lots of fun. Okay, what's going on? Let's move on, shall we? So next up, we have Lord Corlys Velaryon, the one and only. What is Lord Corlys going to be up to? We'll have to find out. Hold on, is this what there we go, it is working. Damn, Quinn, tell me about how you... Canada's pissed me off sometime, I'm not going to lie. Anyway, so there's Corlys. What's he up to this season? Well, see, in some clips in the trailer and photos, we see him without the bandage, and other times we see him with the bandage. So clearly he is still recovering from that injury, which is pretty metal. If you rewatch season 1, I kind of forgot about this, but the reason why he doesn't just catch a fever, he gets his neck slashed while fighting in the Stepstones, then he falls into the sea. How the fuck did he survive that? Anyway, yeah, so he's clearly still kind of wounded. He's got the cane. He looks old. They've given him more grey in his beard. I like that. Show him aging. I know that black don't crack, but you got to show him aging slightly. Give him a couple of wrinkles down. Did you know the guy who plays Corlys, Steve Toussaint, or Toussaint, I don't know how you pronounce it. He's 60. He's 60. He's 60. The guy who plays Corlys. That's insane. God damn, he's got... Oh. I hope I look like that when I'm 60. But anyway, but then in other bits in the trailer, we see him without the bandage, so it looks like he does regain his health, somewhat. So generally, yes, he'll be an advisor to Rhaenyra. There's a bit in the trailer where he's like, "My ships are yours," so we could see him in an admiral position. If we're doing the battle, the fall of King's Landing in the finale, as I suspect we are, I don't think they're going to make it like a sort of swift, bloodless takeover. I think there'll be a battle. There'll be not as big of a battle if they hadn't tricked Aemond and Criston Cole into marching to Harrenhal, but there will be some kind of battle, right? So I think the naval side of that will be commanded by Corlys, which is what happens in the book, actually. The Valyrian Navy go to attack the royal fleet. So we'll see him in a battle role. We'll see him in an advisory role, right? Where he's basically placed in charge of the Black Council along with Rhaenys, while Rhaenyra is suffering from, grief. She's stricken with grief, and that could happen in the show too. But I think the emotional heart of Corlys' story will be twofold. One, it will be, of course, and just throwing it out there again, this is a spoiler stream. I'm talking about book spoilers. This will spoil the future of the season. I keep throwing it out there because new people are coming in. I don't piss anyone off. 3, 2, 1. Drop off if you don't want spoilers. But obviously, someone dies at Rook's Rest. So Rhaenys dies at Rook's Rest. So after the death of his wife, Corlys is going to be heartbroken. It'll be cool to see some raw emotions out of this guy. We saw him, at the quite morose at the funeral of Laenor. And after Laenor faked his death, he was grabbing the guard and he was angry, and he responded to that grief by going out and fighting the Stepstones. So that's how he grieves. He's like, he bottles it in, he keeps it to himself, and when he does release it, it releases as fury, and he's like, I need to go out and fight. So after the death of his wife, perhaps he will continue on that trajectory, and he will be like, I am going out to fight. I'm going to command these ships, blah, blah, blah. Or it might be different. It might break him, and we might see him have a crisis of faith. Because we see that in Fire and Blood. We see him suffer from a crisis of faith where he's like, I don't want to support you anymore. You've got my wife killed, Rhaenyra. Fuck you. I'm not with you anymore. And then Rhaenyra's like, what if I bribe you by making you Hand of the Queen? And he's like, hold on. That sounds kind of lit. Let's do it. And obviously, Corlys is an ambitious man, so that hand position is important, and his granddaughters are still betrothed to Rhaenyra's children, so he has blood in the game. And name in the game, because as he says, history doesn't remember names, it remembers blood. Oh, fuck, that's completely the wrong way around. Let me try that again. History doesn't remember blood, it remembers names. It's a good thing I'm not a scriptwriter. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry, that was very rude of me. Apologies. And I said it was twofold, right? So that one emotional beat, not an emotional beat, like a really deep emotional aspect to Corlys will be the death of his wife. But then the other angle we can approach that, the other side of him, where we can see him open up, drop that hard exterior, could be him interacting with his bastard children. And we'll be getting on to Adam and Alan of Hull very soon. Very soon. But yes, in the book says Adam and Alan. Some suspect they're Laenor's children, some suspect they're his bastard children. In the show, based on their age, they are clearly going to be his bastard children. So he's like, I've lost Laenor and Laena, I've lost my wife, but hey, I'm reconciling with my bastards, and maybe we can see a more human Corlys this season. Very cool character, by the way. Awesome character. I will say also, it's past midnight. I'm very tired. That's probably why my sentences are being a bit messy. My sentences are a bit they're a little bit all over the place today, so it's good, though, because I have an English accent, which makes you think I'm smart. It's amazing. Okay, moving on to the next bit, we have Princess Rhaenys Targaryen. So, yeah. From all accounts, the Battle of Rook's Rest is episode 9. Episode 9? 4? I don't know where that came from. Episode 4. So, what are we going to see at the start of the season? We're going to see her, again, taking part in that Black Council. We're going to see her urging for caution, urging for peace, like we did in Season 1. We're probably going to get some emotional moments between her and her grandchildren, between her and Corlys. And it's all going to build towards the Battle of Rook's Rest, where if it stays as it is in the book, she's actively sent to help House Staunton of Rook's Rest because they don't believe there are any dragons with Criston Cole's advancing army. And Rhaenyra doesn't want to go because it's risky, and so she goes. And then there's a big old battle between her, Aegon on Sunfire, and Aemond on Vhagar. And then, of course, she ends up becoming a crispy Targ. She becomes roast Targ. And I do wonder, there's a very iconic image from Fire and Blood where it's like a kind of a crispy, like, fetal position, like what's left of her. And it's quite a disturbing image. I'd like to see that in a show. That'd be quite dark. I mean, I'm not saying I'd like to see it in a show, but like, I'd like to see it in a show, if you know what I mean. The slide isn't changed. Oh, what? There we go. The slide should change now. I don't know whether to blame Canva or to blame myself because I'm a boomer. I'm not sure. It's still on call list. Quinn the GM. All your videos are all slideshows. How do you? Why isn't this working? No. Yes. Okay. Now we have Rhaenys. There we go. There we go. We've got a few seconds of Rhaenys where you can enjoy the live Vhagar reaction. But yes, I was annoyed by. I've said this enough times. Very annoyed by episode 9, the bursting through the floor and flying away. I think it was gratuitous, unnecessary. The massacring of all those civilians felt like it doesn't make sense coming from this character. Would it make sense from Aemond? Probably. Would it make sense from Daemon? Absolutely. Does it make sense for Rhaenys, who's constantly pushed as being temperate and moderate and would have been a better queen than Viserys was king? But then it's like, oh, but let's have her burst through the floor because we want like a big spectacle moment. Even though the coronation was the spectacle moment, you didn't need this. So this was pushed by Miguel Sapochnik, who said behind the scenes that the original episode written by Sarah Hess was meant to end with the coronation. I don't know if that includes Aegon on Sunfire, but it might have been. But then Miguel Sapochnik was like, no, we need something more, and so that something more had to be Rhaenys bursting through the floor. And I don't want to watch this character and be like, you know, are you going to address the fact that you unnecessarily killed a bunch of peasants and then flew away? Like, that feels like out of character. I hope it gets addressed in some capacity. The only justification for it, in my mind, is Rhaenys bursting through the floor, marching to the high towers. She's gonna burn them. It's like a necessary evil. I've got to. But then at the last minute, she's like, I can't. This is kinslaying. What have I done? Then she flies away, and she's like, I couldn't do it, and I killed innocents because I thought I was gonna do it, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. I can kind of justify it that way. But anyway, live Vhagar reaction indeed. Let's move on to the next slide, and I hope it actually. Oh my god. Nope. You know what? I've stopped. I've given up on trying to pretend. I am a boomer. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm not going to pretend. I'm a boomer. I'm a boomer. I can't shake this. I can't shake this curse. Okay. Next up, we have Adam and Alan of Hull, who are, of course, Velaryon bastards. Adam of Hull goes on to become a dragon seed, riding the dragon Seasmoke, and Alan of Hull goes on to become a legitimized bastard. He becomes Alan Velaryon. He becomes a future Lord Velaryon. Alan Oakenfist, and then he goes on all kind of travels and voyages and fun stuff. So, first off, oh yes, and of course, Alan of Hull is being played by Abu Bakr Salim, who played the protagonist of Assassin's Creed Origins, which I haven't played, but I hear that the protagonist is pretty cool and that he's a pretty good voice actor. And Abu Bakr Salim is also launching a video game or a video game company. I remember for Summerfest last year, he gave a speech and he was like, hey, it's me, the guy from Assassin's Creed. I'm launching my own video game, like inspired by African mythology. I was like, hey, that's isn't that the guy who recently got announced as Alan of Hull? It is also quite funny that this like badass, bald, scarred guy is called Alan. Like his name's Alan. Okay, cool. Yes, and someone's pointed out he was in Raised by Wolves. I haven't seen it, but I hear it's good. I hear he's good in it. And there's also a character in Raised by Wolves who the actress has been cast to play Jane Arryn. So I guess HBO were like, sorry for cancelling that. Let's give you a role on House of the Dragon. And to the right, we have Clinton Liberty on the right, who's going to be Adam of Hull. So Adam claiming Seasmoke means that Laenor is dead, because a dragon and a rider are bonded for life. If the rider fucks off and has some gay fun in the Stepstones, that doesn't mean that Seasmoke is like, okay, I need a new rider. I need a new driver. Like, no. They are bonded for life. So I think we're going to have a moment where Adam bonds with Seasmoke and Rhaenyra and even Daemon realise, specifically Rhaenyra realises, this means Laenor's dead. He must have died in the Stepstones at some point during the last 6 years. You know, I don't think we need a scene showing him. We don't need to cut to him dying. The whole idea of him coming back and sacrificing himself, kind of cheesy. I think I'm fine with him dying off screen, even though the actor's awesome and I like Laenor, but I would have liked to see more of him, but, you know, this is the story we're given. So yeah, and he's gonna ride sea smoke, which is pretty cool. What else was I gonna say? There's the Laenor thing, the sea smoke being bonded to Laenor. Oh yes, how is he able to bond to the dragon? Because of course in the books it's ambiguous. They're like, are these bastards Laenor's bastards? Because that would be kind of weird because he was gay. You know, gay men can have children, but it'd be kind of, you know, it'll be, and also just looking at the ages of these men, like both of them, they look like they are Corlys's sons. They are not young enough to be Laenor's sons. They're definitely Corlys's bastard sons. But in that case, where's the Valyrian? Where's that drop of dragon blood? Well, it's probably not through Corlys. It's through Matilda of Hull, their peasant mother, who they're probably just going to retcon it as she's a dragon seed, right? That's not a retcon, sorry, a change from the book. Oh, it might not even be a change from the book, but they're going to have Matilda of Hull be a dragon seed. Corlys had a couple of bastards with a dragon seed when he was younger. He was playing around, you know, went on tour and all that. And boom. It is kind of a coincidence that Corlys happened to get with a dragon seed. But I think it makes more sense than them being Laenor's kids, because they would be super young. They would be teenagers. They'd be like in their late teens or whatever. And these men are not in their late teens. And then what's Alan of Hull going to do? I think we're going to see him doing some fun seafaring, you know, bonding with Corlys. And seeing if Nettles is cut, hopefully Adam and Alan of Hull will provide... I'm always getting their names mixed up, by the way, so I've probably made several mistakes. But with Nettles cut, I hope these characters will provide the lowborn perspective. Yes, they are bastards, and yes, Alan gets legitimized later on, but I hope this is like, you know, these are the commoners. Let's see through the eyes of the commoners in season 2. Okay, let's move on to we've talked about Rhaena maybe merging with Nettles, and we've talked about Adam and Alan of Hull. Now it's time to move on to the other dragon seeds, that being Hugh Hammer and Ulf the White. And hopefully that'll show up on the screen at any... Oh, God damn it. At any... Right, but there we go. I had no idea the actor for Hugh Hammer was this handsome. I was, like, I knew he'd been cast, and you can see him, like, in a couple of the trailers. He's got, like, a kind of silver ponytail tied behind, and he's got a big beard, and you're like, yeah, that's, you know, there's a buff guy. And then I got this picture of him from the premiere. I was like, yo, that's not a daddy, that's a zaddy right there. That's a zaddy, holy shit. This is a good-looking man. But yes, Hugh Hammer is a blacksmith. He's a big, muscular blacksmith, and he claims the brutish dragon Vermithor, who's a former dragon of King Jaehaerys I. And then he becomes friends with Ulf the White, also known as Ulf the Sot, because he's a drunkard. So they're both kind of scummy individuals. And Ulf the White goes on to claim the dragon Silverwing, who was the dragon of Queen Alysanne, so just Jaehaerys' wife, sister wife, obviously, because they're Targaryens. So Vermithor and Silverwing are kind of like husband and wife in retirement in the Dragon Month, right? And then they get claimed. And of course, this is canon, by the way. The end of the... Spoilers for the very end of House of the Dragon, but Ulf the White will sit the Iron Throne as King Ulf the First. King Ulf of House Sot. But yeah. It's cool to see them. It'll be cool to see the Dragon Seeds. If you read the book, you know that they become known as the Two Betrayers. Again, spoiler stream. I'm going to keep emphasizing this. This is a spoiler stream. They're the two betrayers. They both betray Rhaenyra and join Team Green. Hugh Hammer is just a big brute of a man, and he's like, I have a dragon. Where Aegon had a dragon and named himself king. I want to be King Hugh Hammer. And Ulf the White is like, can I be the Lord of Highgarden or some shit? He's like Bronn. He's like Bronn in Game of Thrones. Except in Game of Thrones, they literally gave Bronn Highgarden and Master of Coin, whereas in Fire and Blood, they're like, oh, you want to be the Lord of Highgarden? Okay, what if we just poisoned you to shut you the fuck up? So yeah, they're two treacherous bastards, and in this show, we're probably going to see them, we'll probably see hints of their personality, you know, Hugh being driven, thuggish, maybe Ulf being a bit of a slimy bastard, or maybe not, maybe they'll be really good men, and then the twist will be even more twistier. However, we haven't heard much about Ulf, but we have heard a little bit about Hugh Hammer. We've heard some rumours that in the show, Hugh Hammer's going to have a bit of a tragic story going on. He's going to have a wife and kids, but they're sick. And he has to look after them. And the city is suffering because the Greens have started a war, and there's no food coming into King's Landing, and there's rioting, and people are angry. And hey, as Mushroom said, the commoners don't care about King Aegon or Queen Rhaenyra. They care about king bread. All they care about is king bread. Food and water and ale, that's all they want. And so you could have a situation where he's disillusioned with the regime, right? Where he's like, I've got a family to take care of. I don't like these people in power. I want to make a change. Let's get Rhaenyra on the throne. But then maybe at some point his greed overwhelms him, or he becomes disillusioned with Rhaenyra or whatever. But either way, fleshing out Hugh Hammer, not just making him a dumb thug who walks around telling everyone that he's going to make himself king. A bit more, yeah, I like the nuance. A bit more nuance. But I kind of hope Ulf... They've hired someone for Ulf who does have that kind of, like, that kind of East End villain vibe, that kind of laddie vibe. So I think he's just going to be a bit of a scumbag, but, you know. Okay, moving on. Next up, oh my god. Next up, we have the Cargill twins. So, yeah, I wanted to move on to Rhaenyra's Queensguard, rather. But there's no point doing one Cargill twin. I might as well do both. Obviously, we will be seeing Cargill Bowl get hype. Get hype in the chat, everyone. Air horns in the chat, all that shit. Yeah. It'll kind of be fun comparing this to Clegane Bowl, actually. But yes, obviously, Eric Cargill is loyal to Rhaenyra, and we know that because his name begins with an E. Arik Cargill is loyal to Aegon, and we know that because his name begins with an A. So Arik for Aegon. That's how I remember, genuinely. I will forever remain baffled that they had a whole episode 9, dedicated to fleshing the twins out, so we understand why each would join a different faction. But then you cast two identical-looking people. Okay, that makes sense, right? Because they're identical twins. You give them exactly the same hair and beard. Oh, no, that does make sense, though, because the whole point of Cargill Bowl is that one of them is disguising themselves as the other, so they do need to look identical. That makes sense. But then they're wearing the same outfits, and you think, oh no, they're both Kingsguard, so of course they are. But then they dress up as commoners to go hunting for Aegon. This is episode 8, remember? Episode 9, sorry. And instead of giving them two distinct outfits and maybe two distinct colours so that viewers could be like, that's the Kingsguard who hates Aegon, and that's the Kingsguard who's like obsessed with duty over hating Aegon. Like, yeah, we're serving him no matter what. Instead of doing that, they gave them both generic brown cloaks, so you literally couldn't work out who was who. So they were just constantly talking to each other, and even I, as a book reader, was like, I don't know who is meant to be who. I don't. Yes, Quinn is saying they have slightly different beards. Eric's beard is slightly bushier, and his moustache goes downwards, and then Eric has a slightly smaller beard, and his moustache is curled upwards. It's not good enough. They really should have made them more distinct. At least, you know, in that episode where they're not wearing Kingsguard armor, where they could have looked distinct, they needed to make them look distinct. But nonetheless, Eric joins Rhaenyra because he thinks Aegon's a scumbag, and Arik is like, I sworn to the monarch, Aegon is a monarch, I am with Aegon. And then after Mr. Blood and Cheese himself does the naughty, does the bad thing, he does the silly, then a plan is cooked up. Kristen cooks too hard and is like, what if we send Sir Arik in disguise as Sir Eric to Dragonstone to assassinate Rhaenyra? Very smart. And then, of course, he nearly gets there, but then he bumps into the real Eric, and then the two twins face each other off. They fight. They end up killing themselves. Killing each other, rather. But what kind of fight are we going to get? Because, again, Fire and Blood, different sources. One of the sources says that it was really emotional and like a bloody poetic ballad. They're cutting at each other, they're sobbing, they're weeping, they're apologising. Brother, I forgive you, and they hug and they die in each other's arms. Their blood's pooling together. And then others, I think Mushroom specifically, is like, no, they just hack at each other, or like wild, like butchers. Like, fuck you, you traitor. I hate you. I've always hated you. Mum loves me more. And they're like hacking each other. They're cutting hands off. They're stabbing each other. They're gouging each other's eyes out. And it's really brutal and bloody. What are we going to get? We're going to get the latter. We're not going to get the romantic, I forgive you, brother, crying. They're going to get... We might have, it'll be emotionally charged, but I think it's going to be fury, massacring each other. It's going to be bloodshed. It's going to be wild. So yeah, rest in peace the Cargills. They're not in it that much, are they? They're not in it that much. But let's move on to the next slide. The one, the only, Sir Harold Harding himself. So in Fire and Blood, see, there's not really much to say here in terms of spoilers, because of course in Fire and Blood, as book readers will know, Harold Westerling is the Lord Commander in between Sir Ryan Redwine and Sir Criston Cole. He dies of old age, or just natural causes, and then Sir Criston Cole becomes Lord Commander, and the Lord Commander joining the Green Coup helps to legitimize the coup. Whereas in the show, Harold is still alive because he's played by Graham McTavish, and they didn't want to waste him and kill him off screen. So Harold Westerling tears his cloak off and storms off. And then Criston's like, I guess I'm now the Lord Commander because he resigned, which is technically treason, so I don't know why we're not beheading him, but oh well. I'm now Lord Commander. I'm not a big fan of all that. I don't know. But either way, we have Harold Westerling, who's just quit his job and survived to tell the tale. So he must have snuck out the Red Keep. Is he going to return and like, okay, I made a mistake. I've been demoted to regular Kingsguard member, but I'm still going to serve you? Or is he going to be like, I'm going to serve Rhaenyra because the king named Rhaenyra? So then he's going to rock up at Dragonstone. Because the issue there is that it'll come across as like a revolving door of Kingsguard, right? So you'll have Cargill Bowl, where Sir Eric and Sir Arik will kill each other. And then, are we then going to have Harold Harding like, ta-da, it's me. You have a new Kingsguard, and it's just a revolving door. It could be a bit goofy, but I don't know. There's no way. They have to bring him back. They have to bring him back, because there's no point keeping him alive and having him in the Green Council scene, which made that scene even more messier and weirder than it already was, and then you don't do anything with him. Excuse me. Okay, so let's move on to two of Rhaenyra's other members, Kingsguard. That was almost a sentence. That was so close to being a sentence. Wait, I still have the I haven't ended the poll, have I? Hold on. The poll is now on everyone's face. I apologize. Oh, okay. With a total of 260 votes, 44% of people have said no, they don't want Rhaenyra to be merged with Nettles. 31% of people have said they're neutral, they're fine either way. And 23% of people have said yes, this is a good idea. So it looks like most people are like, no, that's not a good thing. Yes, the episode is an hour and a half away. The rest of this stream won't be an hour and a half, because I'm gonna leave some time for people to get ready to watch Hot D, right? So this live stream will probably be 40 minutes to an hour remaining. So let's speed through, shall we? So, two members of Rhaenyra's Kingsguard. On the left we have Sir Steffon Darklyn. On the right we have Sir Laurent Marbrand. And of course, in the finale of season 1, Daemon is like, Daemon threatens him with Caraxes and is like, listen, if you want to support Aegon, that's fine, but I am going to kill you. Now, if you want to support Rhaenyra instead, that's also fine. But if you betray her, after having said you're going to support her, then you will die slowly. So you can die swiftly now with honour, or you can betray her later, in which case I will fucking torture you to death. That's basically what Daemon says. So, in the book, Steffon Darklyn on the left is one of the brave souls who tries to claim a dragon. Because he's desperate, there are dragon seeds, some of them are lying, some of them don't realise they're not dragon seeds, some of them are dragon seeds and still can't claim a dragon, and Darklyn's like, well, I'm a loyal noble knight, for you, Rhaenyra, yes, I will claim a dragon, and then he gets burnt alive. He just gets crisped, which is kind of dumb, because you have no Targaryen blood. What is this man doing? So they might just keep him just so that Rhaenyra has extra Kingsguard hanging about, or they might have a scene where he's like, they're desperate because the Dragon Seeds plot isn't working, no one's claiming anything, it looks like a disaster, and then to cap it off, Darklyn is like, I will do it, your grace, and then gets burnt. And then Laurent Marbrand, I don't remember what happens to him. I don't remember if he survived the war and ends up being on Aegon the Second's Kingsguard and then Aegon the Third's Kingsguard. I can't remember, but yeah. Kingsguard all have the same. They've all got the same look, haven't they? They've got the same vibe. And next up we have a couple of powerful lords on Rhaenyra's council that we saw in the season 1 finale, and hopefully they're sticking around for season 2. On the left we have Lord Bartimos Celtigar, which is the greatest name in the history of anything. And on the right we have Lord Simon Staunton. We love a bit of alliteration, don't we? So Bartimos Celtigar goes on to become Rhaenyra's Master of Coin. So, obviously, Lord Celtigar, I imagine after Rhaenyra takes King's Landing, we're going to see the recreation of the council scenes, but instead of the Green Council, it's the Black Council around it, and Celtigar will be sitting in that Master of Coin space. And he's the guy who massively raises taxes to help fund the war, and he is super unpopular. And then Simon Staunton is the Lord of Rook's Rest, and he travels back to Rook's Rest to basically help defend it. He's like, I'm the Lord, I need to be at my castle. But then when Sir Criston Cole marches his army, and he's marching to different Crownland houses being like, surrender to us, bitch. Not to Rhaenyra, surrender to us. When he reaches Rook's Rest, they're sieging it, and of course it is a giant trap to draw out Rhaenyra and kill her. But they don't do that. They manage to get Rhaenys, but not Rhaenyra. But either way, they take Rook's Rest, and then Lord Staunton is beheaded. So I think, what's the point of having Lord Staunton in the finale of Season 1, if not to have a slightly familiar face who is like, I'm going to go back to Rook's Rest, and then I need help, and then gets beheaded by Criston Cole. Rest in peace, Lord Staunton, you were a real one. Okay, moving on, we have Lady Jane Arryn. Now, the actress for Lady Jane, as I mentioned earlier, was an actress on Raised by Wolves. Apparently she's very good. I haven't seen it, but I heard she's very good. So, as I said earlier with Jace, I would love it if there was several episodes in the Vale, or at least one episode in the Vale. I've heard that Jacaerys, as I said earlier, Jacaerys going to the Eyrie might be off screen, and that we will see the Eyrie, but like Jace interacting with Jane Arryn was just cut. Could be because 10 episodes cut to 8, they had to squish things together. I would have loved, like I said, I would have loved to have seen Jace argue with her, like, no, you have to join Rhaenyra's side. You're her cousin, and Jane's like, yeah, I'm a woman, and I need to legitimize my position as a Lady of the Vale by supporting a female claimant to the throne. But then you could have the Royces be like, no, we don't want Daemon anywhere near power because he killed Rhea Royce, and then Jacaerys wins out through diplomacy and charisma and so on. That could be fun. But if we're not getting that, when else are we going to see Jane Arryn? We're going to see her when Rhaena goes to the Vale. So we could see basically Rhaena and Jane Arryn interacting, and maybe that's where we'll get all the dialogue and the fleshing out Jane Arryn, because she doesn't play a huge role in the dance, but she's important. She does provide troops, If only there was an animated history of House Arryn. That would be fun. Imagine a YouTuber made a really long history of House Arryn animated video to drop during Hot D. That would be fun. I don't know. Seems unrealistic to me. Let's move on. Next up, we are moving on to the one, the only, Lord Cregan Stark. Now, let me know in the chat. Some people say Cregan, some people say Cregan. Personally, I'm a Cregan guy. I say Cregan because in my head, C-R-E-G is Craig. If there were two E's, it would be Cregan. I like Cregan, sounds cool too, but Cregan Stark, it sounds harder. Cregan. It's like a knife going in and out. Cregan Stark. I think it sounds better. Anyway, so Cregan Stark, of course, Game of Thrones fans, the Song of Ice and Fire fans were shook when they found out that HBO had dared to cast a 23-year-old to play a 23-year-old. All of the art shows Cregan Stark as this like rugged 40-year-old man with a massive beard when he's like a young man. So great casting. He has the long Stark face, he has the hair, he has the look, he has the brooding intensity. That is, of course, Jon Snow's ancestor. That is Ned Stark's ancestor. And he has ice on his back. The ancestral Valyrian steel sword of House Stark. As the text says, it is a certified wolf moment. So, what role is he going to play in this season? So in this season, Jace will meet him and he will agree to join Team Black. How many episodes will it be? How long will their meeting be? I don't know. We know in the trailers that they're going to go to the Wall for some reason. But, yeah. Will there be a bromance? Will they have fun political chats? Will they play Xbox together? Will they play Halo? Will Sarah Snow, as I said earlier, will Sarah Snow be in the picture? His bastard half-sister, who may or may not have existed, according to the historians, who Jacaerys fell in love with and married, and that was kind of part of the pact. She would eventually become Queen Sarah Snow. I don't know. My guess is that there's not enough time to have included Sarah Snow, and that she isn't necessary, and it's a bit too much of a repeat of Robb Stark. Jacaerys kind of has strong Robb Stark vibes anyway. Sarah Snow angle is a bit too Jane Westerling, you know? So I think we'll see some Cregan Stark and Jacaerys having bro time and then being like, yeah, I'm going to join you. But that's just this season. What's going to happen in the future? Because Cregan Stark chills in the north up until his army is mustered and he marches down, and then there's the Hour of the Wolf where he does a bunch of purging and so on, and it's lots of fun. So obviously he'll have a big role to play later on. But I have a personal theory that while he's amassing an army, he sends 2,000 men called the Winter Wolves, hardened Northmen who are going south to fucking die, because the winter's about to come. They know that they can't feed themselves. They want their family to be fed. So they're like, how else do I die? Do I want to freeze to death like a bitch? No, I'll fight and die for the Dragon Queen. So Roderick Dustin, also known as Roddy the Ruin, who's just like a crazy northern guy. I always imagine him with a Scottish accent, personally. Roddy the Ruin, just marching south and going ham with the Winter Wolves. It could be that, you know, they replace Roddy the Ruin with Cregan Stark, or at least have Cregan march with Roddy. But he doesn't need to be in the north to rally an army. He could be like, I'm rallying a big army, but while that's happening, I'm going to march with the Winter Wolves. Because then we get to see more of Cregan. We get to see more of him taking part in battles like the Battle of the Fish Feed and Butcher's Ball and so on. Because otherwise he's being introduced and then he just kind of disappears until the very end of the show. So hopefully we can see... I'd quite like that, by the way. I'd like to see Cregan and Roddy the Ruin teaming up and marching south, so we see more of him. And then moving on, we have Lady Mysaria, also known as Lady Misery, also known as the White Worm. It's funny, in the trailer we saw that she's adjusted her accent somewhat. She no longer sounds like she's having a stroke. She's kind of toned it down a bit. So Mysaria, in the book, she is a classic sort of... She fits into that sort of A Song of Ice and Fire archetype, where you have Tyanna of the Tower and you have Melisandre. You have these sort of foreign seductress schemers who are all evil bitches. You know, it's a bit of a trope, admittedly, in The Song of Ice and Fire. But Mysaria, yeah, she's a Lyseni woman. She's like a full-on albino, maybe, in the book, from Lys. And, of course, the actress in the show is very beautiful, but in the book, from what I understand, she's called the White Worm because she's lithe and sexy when she's young, but when she grows older, she becomes the most hideous creature ever. Which is to say, she gains a little bit of weight. Ooh, the maces are shaking in her boots. And so she's called the White Worm. And she's, you know, basically she's the mistress of Whisperers for Team Black. She is the Team Black equivalent of Lara Strong on the green side. And she's quite ruthless. She's quite nasty, really. She's heavily involved in Blood and Cheese. It'd be interesting to see what she does this season, because in season 1 they set her up as, you know, Larys is a spy master who is out for his own goals. He has ambitions. He seeks power. He wants to fuck things up. That's Larys. Mysaria, however, in the show, is motivated by helping the common people. She has a spy network in King's Landing that operates to protect people, right? She wants to close the child fighting pits and so on. She's a bit of a damn dirty commie, is what I'm trying to say. So, yeah, she'll join Rhaenyra's faction because, you know, Larys tried to burn her out last season, so she's like, fuck the Greens, you try to kill me, I try to do a deal with me, you try to kill me, fuck you Otto, fuck you Larys, goodbye. And then she'll go, well, I'm going to team up with my former lover, Daemon, and then maybe she'll support Rhaenyra because she's a woman as well, I don't know. But, yeah, will we see her be more... Will she be more hardened, more ruthless? Because it's hard to imagine someone who wants to close child fighting pits hiring a pair of assassins to murder a child. Like, that doesn't really add up. So it'll be interesting to see just to what extent she's involved in Blood and Cheese. What kind of... Whether she does... You know, what her role is in the council. I want to properly have her as a spy master. Like, I want a scene in King's Landing where Larys is, like, unveiling a load of cool spy information, like, all my contacts say this and this and this to King Aegon, and then in Dragonstone, Mysaria is like, aha, I have counter spies and double agents, and they're spying on Larys, and we blah blah blah, and she's relaying it to Rhaenyra, and there's not really a parallel there. I don't think any casual fans yet have really made a parallel between Mysaria and Larys, so I would like to see it. It's also a shame that Mysaria's actress for both season 1 and season 2 has been busy filming other stuff because she's pretty popular. too busy to go to the premieres, so we're not really seeing her in much promo material. So there's almost, as a result, because of the way our consumer minds work, we're not really, people aren't as engaged or hyped about her character because she wasn't in season 1 much, and the actress isn't as involved with PR. So, but yeah, I don't know. We'll get a Daemon ally, a Rhaenyra ally. To what extent will she be involved with Blood and Cheese? I get the feeling Daemon will be more involved than she is, honestly, but we'll have to see. I would like to see some ruthlessness. I was saying this to Quinn the GM earlier. It's like, okay, I get it. We have Rhaenyra, we have Alicent, we have Rhaenys, we have Mysaria. We have all these women who seem to be more interested in helping people and maintaining peace. But we also want to see some female villains, right? We want to show women being ruthless and evil and bad because men and women are human and they will have human flaws and they can be villainous. We don't need every single female character to be like, I want peace and truth and justice, because it's a bit kind of infantilizing, I think. Let's have some evil villains. Let's have some Cerseis, you know. Last but not least, on Team Black, we have a very controversial character, Sir Blood and Cheese. Now, everyone keeps talking about they. They keep talking about Blood and Cheese as they, like they're two people. As far as I'm aware, it's just one person, right? Blood and Cheese. He's a knight. He's a famous assassin. Blood and Cheese. But yes, so obviously they're going to be in this season, and they're going to be probably episode 1 or 2. I'm thinking episode 1. We're going to see these assassins. I will have a 5-hour rant video this week about the fact they've given Cheese a beard, because I don't think Cheese does not work with a beard. You give Blood the beard, he's a big hulking brute, he has a big bushy beard. You give Blood the beard, you give Cheese a clean shaven face, maybe a bald head. Really emphasize the rat-like features, because the actor has like the perfect face. He's got a very pronounced nose, he's got a thin features. That's perfect Cheese. Don't cover up that cheesy face with a beard. You kidding me? I'm furious. Brian Fondle, you have ruined House of Dragons. How dare you, sir? But yeah, so a couple of things to talk about with Blood and Cheese. First off, well, the most obvious one is, how is it going to go down? Daemon / Mysaria gonna hire them. Are they going to get specific orders to kill Prince Jaehaerys? Are they going to look for someone else? Are they going to try to assassinate Aegon or Aemond? And then they end up being like, fuck, this is too hard. Aha, look, some kids. You know, does Maelor exist? We don't know if Maelor exists in the show. We know Jaehaerys and Jaehaera do. We don't know if Maelor exists. So in the book, they have Jaehaerys and Maelor, and they're like, a son for a son, choose one, and then they kill the opposite to which one Helena chooses, because they're sadists. Whether they were specifically ordered to do that, or they did that themselves because they're bastards, we don't know. But if Maelor doesn't exist in the show, then it's going to be between Jaehaerys and Jaehaera. And will it be a choose? Because the choose doesn't work, because it's a son for a son. The episode's called a son for a son, so it has to be, I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, that scene will be brutal. It'll probably be tonight, let's be honest. I think it'll be tonight. We got Cheese the rat catcher, and he's got a dog, as you can see in that picture. There's a little behind the scenes video, and there's like the guy who looks like Cheese with a dog. So I guess the idea is that he's walking through King's Landing holding a torch, and he's got like a little dog, and like the dog hunts down the rats for him, and then he kills them or whatever. In my head, as a rat catcher, I just imagine him sneaking around setting traps. But yeah, no, I guess he's bringing the dog with him, right? And we haven't seen any shots of Blood himself in any trailer or promo, but we know that someone called Sam C. Wilson was hired to play Blood, and he's quite an intense actor, so it'll be fun to see. Well, it won't be fun, but it'll be darkly, morbidly intriguing to see that scene. Yeah, I have a feeling no matter what happens, people are going to get mad and be like, this is betraying the books because it's not 100%, but like, let's see how it goes down, right? Let's see how it goes down. So, moving on from Sir Blood and Cheese, we moved on to Team Green. Huzzah, Team Green. Starting off with King Aegon II Targaryen, and his banner, of course. Rhaenyra's banner, I forgot to mention in the very first slide, Rhaenyra's banner was the, that I showed was the book version of her banner, where it's, I'll bring it up actually. I'll bring it back up for you. The cursed banner The graphic design is my passion banner, where it's quartered to Targaryen dragons, Arryn sigil and Velaryon sigil to represent Arryn heritage and Velaryon support and marriage. It's a terrible sigil. Is it realistic? I guess, but it's lame. Not very marketable. I always knew they were going to change it to something more marketable, basically. What I didn't expect is that the show would change it to what they did change it to, which is Rhaenyra's sigil is literally just a red dragon on black, which is kind of dumb. Because that is the Targaryen banner. That's not Rhaenyra's banner. That's the Targaryen banner. Like, it doesn't make any sense to... Like, they both fly the Targaryen banner, right? They're both going to have the red dragon on black once they've won the war. It's just they have personal banners during the war so they don't get confused and they know whose side people are on, right? So, in the book, Aegon has the golden dragon on black to represent his gold dragon Sunfire, and Rhaenyra has this quartered sigil. But in the show, having her one be red on black and having Aegon's one be gold on green... First off, I love the gold on green. I like merging Team Green, High Tower at War with the gold dragon. That's really cool. The golden dark green. I like that. But having those two be the conflicting sigils is like, okay, gee, I get which side is the right side, or even for some audiences, for some audience members, which side is going to win. Surely it's going to be the side that's wielding the banner that we've seen in the original Game of Thrones show. Like, I think they should have given her something else. I think they should have given her a silver dragon on black, actually. The silver representing the silver seahorse, or Velaryon, like a nice merger. That's what I think. But who cares what I think? I'm not a showrunner. So yes, Aegon II, we've heard amazing things about Tom Glynn-Carney as Aegon II in season 2. The first 4 episodes some people have seen. They said that he's amazing in it. He's like pathetic, but also at the same time really charming and likable. Like, he's a frat boy douchebag, but also he's kind of lame and sad and pitiable, but he's just weirdly likable, which is what I wanted from Aegon. In season 1, I wanted the spoiled, bratty, rude asshole frat boy. I didn't want the prince who watches children fight in fighting pits to the death. That's way too extreme. He's meant to become more twisted, more villainous as the dance goes on. He's meant to descend, a Shakespearean villain. Starting him off as, in my spare time, I watch children fight each other, was way too much for me. They went too far with that. Of all the mushroom things to interpret, why the child fighting pits? But yeah, other than that, hopefully this is more of the Aegon we wanted, the less over-the-top Joffrey Aegon, and more of a just a douchebag who becomes twisted by the war and physically twisted later on. So yeah. Oh, and the 2 lads in front of Aegon in this picture, on the left the black fellow is Ned Waters, and on the right that man is Leonis Estamont. We'll be talking about them later, but it looks like he has a posse of friends who he's going to hang out with this season, which is pretty fun. It gives him some people to bounce off of. We know that he'll be, on one hand, he'll be taking control more. He'll be wresting control away from Otto and Alicent, who realise that their attempts to put on a kind of pathetic drunken puppet is going wrong because the puppet is cutting his own strings off and running away on his clackety wooden legs. Their plan is not working. So there'll be Aegon trying to wrestle back control, exercising his power, having fun with it. Not in like a tyrannical Joffrey way, but in a spoiled brat way. In kind of an Aegon the Unworthy way. Right? If there were no civil war, if Rhaenyra just suddenly had a heart attack and there was no Dance of the Dragons, I think Aegon II would probably end up being like a Aegon the Unworthy. He'd just be like a filled with lust and vice and corruption, all that stuff. But anyway, yeah. So that's one part of his story. Will be him wrestling power away from Otto and Alicent and becoming his own man. But then on top of that, it's the grief of losing Prince Jaehaerys and the brutality of the war and everything, the stress of it getting to him and making him crack under pressure. But here's the thing: while he does get more aggressive, and after Jaehaerys dies, he's like, let's attack Dragonstone, and then he tries to assassinate Rhaenyra. While he gets more aggressive, he also gets more brave. That's something I find really fun about him. Yes, he's an absolute drunken twat, but he does have the bravery to be like, I'm going to ride to Rook's Rest myself. I'm the king. If the monarch who rides a dragon isn't willing to sacrifice his life, then maybe I don't deserve to be king. And that's just a really fun twist. It really does humanize him, makes him way more interesting. So it'll be fun to see that. And naturally it'll be fun to see post Rook's Rest, where he's burned and he's twisted and he's depressed, and it'll be, maybe it'll be fun to see the prosthetics for one, but also just the performance, the powerful performance that could bring, because none of the reviewers have seen episode 6 to 8, so we have no idea what burned Aegon is going to be like. Armor fused to his skin. It's going to be fascinating. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to... He might be the character I'm most looking forward to seeing this season, actually. Because in terms of Team Black or Green, I'm neither. I don't see the point in... have fun with it. But me, I'm like... I like interesting characters. Every episode, I just want to follow the interesting ones and have fun with it. Aegon II, for me, is the one I'm currently interested in. Not because I'm Team Green or whatever, but because I want to see where the trajectory of his storyline. I really want to... Anyway, I've spoken enough about Aegon II. Next up, we are moving on to Prince Aemond Targaryen. Oh, whoops, nearly knocked my mic over. So, Aemond Targaryen. He's a man who wears a mask. And that mask, in a way, is his eye patch. The eye patch makes him cool and badass, and he has a big dragon. He's like a school shooter who basically got given the codes to the nukes. And from then on, he's just been swaggering around in a samurai outfit, being like, what are you going to do about it, bro? That's basically Aemond. So he has this mask, he's cool, calm, and calculating. He's kind of psychopathic. He's brutal. He murdered his nephew, Lucerys, and he's helped start a war, and he's going to fight it for his brother, Aegon. But then you strip away the mask, you take away the eye patch, you expose the eye, and what do you have? You have someone who's a bit more vulnerable. Someone who we see in the trailer resting on someone's lap, maybe a prostitute's lap or someone's lap, shirtless, kind of a moment of vulnerability, a moment of, I'm being myself. I'm grieving, I'm getting over the shock of killing Lucerys, which wasn't a murder. It was a murder in the sense that, if you chase someone around a park with a bulldog on a leash shouting, give me your eye, cut your eye out and I'll stop chasing you, and then you accidentally let go of the leash and then the bulldog tears that guy's throat out, it's murder in that sense. It's somewhere between manslaughter and murder. But yeah, I think Aemond he has that old shit face at the end of season 1. In season 2, he's going to completely pretend. He's going to be like, yeah, it was intentional. It's because I'm badass. Because he doesn't want to be like, I accidentally killed Lucerys. Oh god, I'm stressing. He's going to be like, I have this persona of the monstrous Aemond and I'm going to embrace it. And him continuing to embrace this monster, this embrace the mask he's formed for himself to hide his insecurities and flaws. By merging that mask with the real him, he'll become one entity. The two Aemonds will become one and he will become a monster. The mass executions, basically the genocide of how strong, the mass murder in the Riverlands, all of that will gradually build up. Because in the book, Aemond starts off as a crazy psycho and then he ends as a crazy psycho. And it's like, he's a fun, crazy character. But it's cool in the show to see him evolve, like genuinely, properly evolve, where we have moments of vulnerability and the Lucerys thing was a mistake and, we see that he was a bullied kid and he's, deeply insecure, and it's like, let him become more villainous over time. I like that. My mic is kind of low. Can I turn it up? I do apologise for my mic. This live stream, I have it on max. I do have it on max for my OBS, and like I said, I reinstalled a bunch of stuff, so I think it's messed up my audio. So, and I am talking a bit quieter than usual because it's nearly 1 a.m. and I don't want to wake the neighbour upstairs. I don't want to piss him off. So yeah, apologies. I do apologise, but if you're watching this live or post live, just try and go full volume, I guess, if you want to hear me. Okay. And I do have to say too, it's such a cool character. The actor looks awesome. He genuinely looks like an anime villain brought to life. He's got so much charisma and swag, and he's just a great fun character. It's cool that the fact we have 2 badass wild cards is insane, right? Like, a normal show, you would just have a Daemon. This show has a Daemon and an Aemond. It's cool that you just have... Yeah, I love it. Anyway, what's he going to get up to this season? Like I said, we'll see some badass mask Aemond. We might see some more vulnerable Aemond. He's probably going to do some some brutal shit. And if the fall of King's Landing is at the end of the season, that means he's going to end the season going to Harrenhal. So I don't think we'll see any Aemond Alice Rivers smut yet. That'll probably be season 3. But considering him and Kristen kind of team up and do stuff together, we're probably going to see a relationship growing between them. I mean, Kristen arguably is kind of like Aemond's father, like stepfather in a way. Because he was more present than Viserys. He was always training them and looking out for them. Anyway, moving on. We have Queen Helaena Targaryen, played by Fia Saban, my future wife. So this is the bug girl, the autistic bug girl. In the book, she's very Fire and Blood. You know, she's just a sweet, simple girl. She's loved by the people, and she doesn't really do much. She's traumatized, and then she dies after falling out of a window. Maybe she's pushed. Maybe it's suicide. We don't know. In the show, they've done something a bit more interesting with Helaena. First off, she's very clearly autistic coded. The way she doesn't like people touching her, the way she seems to be in her own head a bit spacey. When Vaemond is killed, she covers her ears, not her eyes, her ears, like a kind of like stimming after overstimulation. So, and then they're mixing this kind of neurodivergent vibe with dragon dreams, where she keeps spouting prophecies and no one really takes her seriously. Change slide. Oh, the slide hasn't changed, has it? Oh, there's a shock. God damn it. Come on, bro. Work with me. I'm begging you. Get off the screen, Aemond. There we go. She's back. She's in. Woo. Let's go. Yeah. So again, we're probably going to see more of the prophecy stuff. More of her like having probably people calling me boomer in the chat. But yeah, considering that what's left of her life is pretty horrific. I imagine any prophetic visions she'll have of the future will be terrible. So yeah, it'll probably be horrible dragon dreams. We might get a load of cool cryptic stuff, and book readers can piece it together. Oh, she's referencing this, or oh, she's referencing this. The blood and cheese scene will be horrific. It'll be great to see the actress chewing on that, but it'll be horrible for the character. And yeah, she just kind of mourns and cries and mopes about in a book. So let's see what she does in the show. Let's hope she has more to do in the show. Again, she's not like a player. She's not a schemer. She's not a politician. But she represents the human side of the Greens. And you know, that she's a victim of the brutality of war and assassination. So it'll be really interesting to just see what kind of mini arc she goes on. Yeah. And then in terms of she dies after the fall of King's Landing, right? So that means we'll probably see her into season 3. And then season 3 we'll have to see whether she gets pushed or whether she falls, right? Because whether she gets pushed or whether she jumps. Because in my head I was always like, the 3 theories are like either she jumped, which is most likely, right? Or that Rhaenyra pushed her because she was jealous, which is ridiculous. Or what I kind of like is the idea that Larys hires an assassin to do it, because he's like, I can just pin this on Rhaenyra and then the peasants will rise up against her, give them even more reason to hate her. So the show could have her be assassinated just to make Larys even more fucking despicable, but I don't know. Maybe it'll be more emotional, more hard-hitting to just have her leap from that window. Maybe not like the Tommen, like flopping out the window. 1 hour to go. Yes, 1 hour till Hot D. I'll try and wrap this up. Let's move on, shall we? And big shout out to Helena's bum. Helena's arse in the bottom right. Big shout out. Next up, we're going to be talking about a really interesting character who's appearing in season 2. This is none other than Prince Daeron Targaryen. Yes, it has been confirmed as of today that Prince Daemon Targaryen Daeron Targaryen is going to be in a show. He is going to be in season 2. They've cast a budding actor by the name of Sal Vulcano to play him. He's the prince that was promised. We're going to get a badass scene where like Otto will be like, wow, this is a certified Daeron moment. And then it will cut to Old Town and Daeron will be like, fine, I'll do it myself, like Thanos with the glove. But instead of the glove, it's him like grabbing a harness to put on Tessarion. And then he's going to fly around the Reach and Daeron all over the place. And yeah. And it'll be a great build up into season 3 where we'll get Battle of the Honeywine and Tumbleton and the second Tumbleton and all that stuff. Yeah. Just in case people are listening to this and not watching it and not watching the slideshow, unfortunately, no, Daeron is not going to be in this season. We've not heard anything official or unofficial. Literally everyone, even the most hardcore of leakers, have been like, we don't know anything about it. Maybe he'll appear, but I think most likely they're saving him for season 3. But for the love of God, please mention him. Please say his name. The fact that he's not name dropped once in season 1 is already ridiculous. Imagine they go through all of season 2 without mentioning Daeron. In season 3, they're like, season 3 opens, they're like, whew, wow, this is intense. I wonder how our brother, Prince Daeron Targaryen, who was sent to Old Town at the age of 6, is doing. And then it cuts it, like, come on. Anyway, shall we move on? Let's move on to the High Towers. So we're moving on to the Foot of the King, that being none other than Alicent Hightower. So Alicent Hightower, what's she getting up to this season? So if Rhaenyra doesn't have loads to do during the dance, Alicent has nothing to do. Like, she's a very big player, but then in the book, Fire and Blood, when the dance begins, she basically doesn't do anything. She's just kind of sitting around until Rhaenyra takes King's Landing, and then they start interacting again. And those interactions will be fun when they happen, but they're definitely going to be season 3. So this season, it's like, what do you have her do? There are 2 paths they can go down. One, they can be like, Alicent has learned her lesson, she's learned the Game of Thrones, and now she's going to be a schemer, a politician. She's going to be the one ruling the realm and blah blah. Or more likely, based on interviews and trailers and stuff, she's going to essentially lose control. Her and Otto are going to have control wrestled from them by Aegon, by Aemond. You know, it's the irony of generational trauma. Otto is instilling the fear of God into Alicent, and then Alicent instills that into her children, and now her children are bloodthirsty, angry young men who are launching a war, or rather continuing a war that she helped launch with her coup, her and Otto, and now it's like, oh, now they've gone out of control, right? Each generation is pulling away from the previous and becoming more radical, and then boom. And so I think we're going to see her losing control. We're probably going to see her grieving the death of Jaehaerys, grieving the destruction of the realm, realising how much of it is her fault. And I think it won't be her, because people are like, oh, she's finally going to become a badass, ruthless schemer like in the book. Unfortunately not. They look like they have a set path for Alicent, which is that, you know, that's just not who she is. She isn't a schemer type character, and she's going to lose power, and she's going to descend into depression. And yeah, I'm not sure what else they'll do with her. I'm sure it'll be interesting. There are rumours that she will meet Rhaenyra this season, and they'll have a negotiation. So there's a negotiation later on in Fire and Blood where Alicent says, listen up, fam. How about you become queen of the Crown Lands, King's Landing, the Vale, the Riverlands, the North, and Aegon can rule from Old Town and can be king of the Westerlands, the Stormlands, and the Reach. How does that sound? And then Rhaenyra's like, no, are you crazy? I'm not going to do that. Maybe they have that kind of discussion in this season. Maybe Alicent and Rhaenyra meet. Again, what context would they meet before King's Landing falling? I don't know. But maybe they're going to meet and they will have this negotiation, and then eventually Rhaenyra will be like, no, screw you. But I don't know. Yeah, I think it will be Alicent falling from power, falling from grace, and dealing with the consequences of her actions. I will keep saying I do wish Alicent was a bit more involved as a schemer in Season 1. I do think they dropped the ball. You know, coming out in the green dress in episode 5, being like, I'm declaring war. And in episode 6, 10 years later, she's talking to Larys like, I literally have no allies. It's like, what about the green faction? You were meant to build up the green faction in this time. Like, what do you mean you have no allies? Anyway. And then moving on to Otto Hightower, very similar. Very similar vibes with Otto. The smug, smarmy politician is losing control. And of course, in Fire and Blood, we know that Aegon eventually fires Otto. So I think, yeah, that will be torn from his grasp, especially after the murder of Jaehaerys, and Otto's like, oh, we need to negotiate, maybe we can send a raven to Dawn, maybe we can send a raven to the Greyjoys. Hold on, the Reach hasn't joined us yet. I know they haven't joined us yet, but they're going to eventually, right? You know, what could go wrong? A civil war? No. And the Triarchy, they hate Daemon, maybe they can join us. And Aegon's like, screw you. You're fucking with me, you're playing with me. You're a boomer. You're a boomer on the council, doing things old-fashioned. I need a warrior. And Otto will be like, Your Grace. Your Grace. But Aegon will instead hire Sir Criston Cole to be his Hand of the King, and he'll be a more aggressive, martial Hand of the King, and Otto will be kicked out. And so I think we'll start off with Otto desperately trying to cling to power, desperately trying to puppeteer Aegon, and it will fail. And so instead, what will he do for the rest of the season? So he needs to be in King's Landing for the fall of King's Landing because he gets his comeuppance. It'll be Daemon, by the way. My prediction is Daemon specifically will take his head. But I think he's gonna take part in in-person negotiations with the Triarchy, because we know that Admiral Shikaro, Abigail Thorne was cast as Admiral Shikaro, and I feel like we're gonna have Otto's being sent off to like you. If you want to get the Triarchy on our side, you go and negotiate with them yourself. You do it yourself, right? Get off the council, go do it. It's like, oh yeah, no. I don't want you as the deputy prime minister anymore. Sorry, I don't want you as the deputy PM, but I can make you the ambassador to the Vatican City. It's that kind of demotion, right? Like, yeah, he's being demoted. Being pushed away, and I'm sure there'll be some cool. Here's what I want. There'll be cool Otto Aegon scenes. There will be cool Otto Alicent scenes. What I really want, I want some Otto Helena scenes, because we have 2 moments and it's fleeting. Because season 1 was rushed, right? And we didn't get enough of the family dynamic stuff. But when Helena gives her awkward speech at the feast in season 8, and Otto nods at her and says, good. Like, reassuringly, he's like, good. And there's like, there's some love between them. Now, Otto clearly loves his granddaughter and understands that she's a bit odd and is like, you did a good job. And then when Helena's dancing, he does that little clap, which is clearly Rhys Ifans, the actor, like, having fun. But he's kind of, like, clapping Helena. I want some scenes of, like, Helena and Otto kind of maybe bonding, because we're just not going to expect that. I don't know. Humanise him a bit. But we're going to move on to another Hightower. So this Hightower was not in Season 2. This is a brand new character. Sorry, was not in Season 1. This is a brand new character. This is Sir Gawain Hightower. And someone in the chat asked, is this stream sponsored by Audible? That's a very good chance for me to shout out. Yes, this stream is sponsored by Audible. Links are in the description below. Go to sign up to Audible for /Late Lord Haven, and you can listen to Otto Hightower narrating the history of Westeros, Otto Hightower ASMR, Otto Hightower Erotica. Each to their own, I guess. Anyway, Your Grace. Moving on. So Gawain Hightower. So in the book, he's is he the eldest son? He's a son of Otto Hightower, and he's named like the deputy commander of the Gold Cloaks, right? Because they're like, we need an inside man in the Gold Cloaks, because we know there's a bunch of Daemon loyalists there. But then during the fall of King's Landing, the Gold Cloaks let the blacks into the city, and Gawain is basically stabbed by the commander Luthor Largent. However, everything we've seen of Gawain in like trailers and interviews and stuff, it doesn't look like he's going to have anything to do with the City Watch. It looks like he's being brought in as a general. It looks like to bolster... Excuse me. Squeaky chair squeaking against the desk. It did sound like a fart, but I promise it wasn't. Like, genuinely, it was my chair. So Gawain Hightower, yes, we see him in the armour, and we see the Hightower army marching in the trailers. So what I'm thinking is that the Crown Lands army in King's Landing isn't big enough, so they need some reinforcements. So a contingent of the Hightower army sent by Lord Ormond Hightower is dispatched to King's Landing to help them fight at Rook's Rest and Duskendale and so on. And that host will be led by Gawain Hightower. And we've heard that that he's going to be a posh boy, right? He's going to be like the upper class, old town educated posh guy who's leading an army alongside Criston Cole, who's the common-born half Dornish thug, right? And so there's going to be maybe a bit of a class divide there, where Criston's like, I worked my way up here, right? Through skill and dedication. I wasn't born into it. I worked here. You were born into it. You're like a Ponzi aristocrat. So I think there could be like a fun rivalry there. And of course, Freddie Fox, part of the famous English acting family, the Foxes, and they're quite posh. So I imagine he's going to go for a kind of darkly comedic, incompetent, out of his depth posh boy vibe. That'd be quite fun. So yeah, because presuming he's a dead man is what I'm saying, because he dies in the book. It doesn't look like he's going to be part of the Gold Cloaks in the show, so they might kill him off in a battle, or maybe save him for season 3. I don't know, just to have more characters. Is everything going okay with the stream? Someone said I'm frozen. Am I frozen for anyone else? I'm not having any troubles on my end, I don't think. Okay, so next up, who are we moving on to? We're moving on to Kristen Cole, who I do have to clarify. For anyone who wants to get within 50 feet of Sir Kristen Cole, he has officially been placed on the hate crime registry after committing a hate crime against an innocent gay man. Glue Guns and Roses asked, what else has Freddie Fox played in? He was in that, the Three Musketeers movie with Orlando Bloom, like that weird one from 2014 or something. He's in the Catherine the Great TV show. He was in Cucumber by Russell T Davies. I haven't seen him in much, honestly. But yes, Christmas Cole. that wasn't even intentional. Kristen Cole. What's he gonna get up to? Well, we know that we're gonna see more of the bond between him and Aegon, and him and Aemond. We know that he's gonna get hired as Hand of the King, and he's gonna be more brutal, more martial. He's the guy who comes up with the Cargill assassination plot. He's the guy who comes up with Rook's Rest and trying to coax Rhaenyra out, and it ends in the death of Rhaenys. So yeah, he's going to continue to confuse viewers by simultaneously being very sexy and very hateable. There are two main things to talk about here. For one, his nickname is Kristen the Kingmaker Cole, and one of the few criticisms I had of season 1, because I didn't have that many, is that he has no Kingmaker moment. Please do not make him the Kingmaker because he physically put a crown on Aegon's head. That doesn't count, right? The reason why he's the Kingmaker in the book is that he is the Lord Commander, and he broke neutrality to pick a side, and he persuaded Aegon personally. When Aegon was like, I don't want to be king, he persuaded him to join. He went, you have to join. You have to do this. You have it in you. Right? He hyped him up. He's the Kingmaker. In the show, first off, he doesn't even start the coup as Lord Commander. He becomes it after the previous Lord Commander quits, so it's not really, it's just kind of like a corrupt appointment in a way. And then, that's not the right phrase, but you know what I mean. And then, he doesn't persuade Aegon, he just captures Aegon and hands him to Alicent, and then later puts a crown on his head, even though he's the Lord Commander. It's like, you meant to do that, bro? Are you the guy? So, he's not the Kingmaker. But not only is that a badass name for him, Kristen Cole, the Kingmaker, and I'm pretty sure George came up with the name before he even came up with the details of the dance. Kristen Cole, the Kingmaker, the Lord Commander of the Kingsguard who broke neutrality and chose a king in the Civil War. Not only does it deprive him of a cool nickname, it's kind of important to his scene later on. And again, because there's lots of people watching, one more time I'll clarify, this is a spoiler stream, talking about book spoilers. Jump off if you don't listen to book spoilers. 3, 2, 1. In the future, Kristen Cole is killed by the Winter Wolves and some Riverlanders, and I've got who is it? Roddy the Ruin. Someone says there'll be no, deprives him of single combat and kills him with bow and arrows or crossbow bolts, and is like, I'm not gonna have you die a dramatic death. I won't have bards sing of your noble death. I will just shoot you like a dog because tens of thousands are dead on your count, Kingmaker. And you can't call him Kingmaker if he isn't a Kingmaker. So what I'm hoping is that they can rectify this in Season 2. Okay, I will read through the Streamlab tips at the very end of this stream. I don't stream through Streamlabs because when I've tried to do that before, my streams have crashed. I have an SSD now, so they shouldn't crash. But I'm doing it through OBS just because as you can imagine, I was organising this stream last minute and I didn't want anything to go wrong, so it's OBS. But I'll check the Streamlabs and read them out at the very end, hopefully. No, I will. Not hopefully, I will. Okay. They can rectify this by making him the Kingmaker, by having a moment of weakness where Aegon wants to resign, where he's like, I cannot... It could be pre-Blood and Cheese, it could be post, but he's like, I can't do this. I have to leave. I cannot do this. And Kristen is like, yes, you can. Motherfucker, you can do that, and gives him a pep talk, and he's like, I'm the Kingmaker. Give us that at least. Also, he might be the most disappointing character. Like, the whole Lancelot subversion is fun as a concept, but like him just randomly jumping on Joffrey and beating him to death it felt like it really wasn't set up enough, and then him getting away with it is like, sorry, what? Getting away with punching Laenor too? Sorry, what? And then pushing Beesbury down onto the council ball instead of what would have been a way cooler throat slash. I don't know. Anyway, I've ranted about Kristen enough. I hope he's a bit more interesting this season, because I think he started off strong last season and then went down a bit of a weird path. Incel Knight. Yeah, the whole Incel Knight is a fun idea, but like, I don't know. There's some unexplained things he does and he's kind of goofy, and I don't know. Anyway. Oh god, the episode's in 40 minutes. Okay, I better rush. How many slides do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 slides left. Super speed round. So next up, we're going to Lord Larys Strong. We don't really know in the book what motivates Larys. He is constantly shifting alliances, jumping between factions. He's Team Green, but then he slips away with Aegon, but then he reappears with Trystane Truefire, but then he sides with Corlys. He's all over the place. Then he like helps orchestrate the assassination against Aegon II. He is... No one knows what he stands for. I don't even know if George R. Martin knows what he stands for, to be honest. He could just be a super mysterious guy, and the histories will never comprehend what motivated him beyond wanting to cause chaos, wanting to cause bloodshed, trying to grind and rise up the greasy pole as much as he could until he just went, screw it, I can't do this anymore, just cut off my head. I'm pretty sure the actor said something about him being motivated by like wanting to like scar the world, leave a legacy. People don't even, not even a legacy, people don't even need to know it was him, but he wants to like scar the world in some way before he goes. But I don't think we'll be enlightened as to his motives anytime soon, but I think we will see him scheming. We will see him building up a relationship with Aegon so that eventually with the fall of King's Landing he can help smuggle Aegon out. I think we'll probably see his relation with Alicent disappear. I can imagine a scene where Alicent is like, come on, feed me some information, help me, I'm willing to show my feet. And Larys is like, I don't even like feet. You're not powerful anymore, I don't care. You, Otto, you're irrelevant. I only want Aegon's feet. Okay, maybe not, but he's only going to cozy up to Aegon and so on. And the actor also said, Matthew Needham, great actor by the way, the actor also said that Larys is going to come across some obstacles for once, because everything's going his way. He's a bit of a Gary Stew, right, in season 1? Bit like Littlefinger, right? Everything goes his way, but he's going to have some kind of obstacle. So it could be that maybe Aegon doesn't buy his bullshit, or some characters aren't buying it, and he has to maneuver and go through new directions. But either way, I love Larys. He's such a fascinating, creepy character. He has a great voice. I love the psycho stare. Yeah. I'm excited to see where his character goes. Okay, next up we have the Small Council. So the Small Council, that is Grand Maester Orwyle, that is Lord Jasper Wilde, and that is Lord Jason Lannister. So we'll be quick. So Grand Maester Orwyle, in the book, he is he's like a neutral maester, where Rhaenyra wants Maester Gerardis on the council because he's pro Rhaenyra. Alicent wants the Hightower Maester Alfredor on the council because he's pro Green, and Viserys, as usual, compromises and is like, screw this, let the Citadel decide, and they pick Orwyle, but then Orwyle is like pressured into the coup. In the show, they simplified it by being like, nah, sorry, but we're just going to have Orwyle be an open Green, which is fine. Is Grand Maester Orwyle going to do much? Not really. He does a bit more near the end of the war, and he's one of the main sources, like, just describing the Dance of the Dragons, but I don't think he'll have much to do. I think the council will just kind of sit there. I don't know. What's kind of annoying about season 1 is that you had all these interesting side characters, and every time there was a council scene, they would say like half a sentence, and then they'd get interrupted by a main character, and it was so consistent. Lionel Strong, Orwyle, Tyland Lannister, Jasper Wilde. You kept having these side characters would like open their mouth and be like, well, I think, and then it will Beesbury, and then it will cut to someone else being like, we don't care what you think. And it's like, let the side characters speak, let them breathe, let the audience remember who they are. How many audience members know who the fuck Jasper Wilde is? Imagine going to someone and being like, oh, House of the Dragon, or what do you think Jasper Wilde is going to do this season? They're going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? So Orwyle's not going to do much. Jasper Wilde probably won't do much. He'll just, I don't know. It'd be cool to have some lines where they're like, oh yes, we've instituted, I'm master of laws, and if anyone raises Rhaenyra's banner, then the lord of that land is allowed to hang them or whatever. Ironrod is called so because he's very brutal. His face is a bit of a meme on the Patreon Discord, by the way. That's why there's a zoomed in face. But he's going to be very, Ironrod, he's a strict traditionalist, a legalist, but he's also called Ironrod by Mushroom. Mushroom's like, oh, he's called Ironrod because he has a very firm rod, because he has 19 children. So it'd be cool if there's some kind of joke in the show about him having lots of kids. I don't know. But, Darkling schemes. And then we have Tywin Lannister, who, because he plays the most important role out of all the council members in the future, he will probably have the more to do and more to say, because, he goes on to become the hand of the king, so he's an important character. They need to show him off more. And thank God they're giving him red and gold. I was so annoyed in Season 1 where all the council members were just, wearing black. And it's like, dude, you're not even on Team Black. Just give them some colour. He's got some red and gold. Looks very nice. That's the promo picture. I'm sure the actual colour grading in the episode will make it look grey, but whatever. So they will be scheming and plotting, and then we know that Ironrod and Otto lose their lives after the fall of King's Landing, so we may see them beheaded at the end of the season, or maybe that will be pushed to Season 3, I don't know. But speaking of Lannisters, Lord Jason Lannister is up next. Now, I don't have Borman Baratheon on the list of Greens, just because he doesn't do much in the war. He pledges for Aegon and then basically doesn't, keeps his cards close and, doesn't really do much, and is kind of paranoid. Jason Lannister, we know, is in this season, and we know that he's going to be marching to the Golden Tooth. So I don't think we'll get any Riverlander battles between the Lannisters, the Westerlanders, the Leffords, and the Riverlords. I think what we will get is the build-up. And then Season 3, we're going to have Red Fork, Fish Feed, maybe some kind of merger of them. But yeah, I think we will get a bit of Jason, and we know that a Lord Lefford has been cast, so I reckon we're going to have Jason Lannister go into the Golden Tooth. Okay, let's move on. I want to talk... I don't know if anyone has said this theory before. I've said it before in my Discord. I've said it to Quinn the GM. I'm going to solidify it now in public. Ahem. I am the originator, the progenitor of the cutscene theory. I'll let that sink in. So in the books, after Rook's Rest, Aegon is burnt and crippled and twisted. He's not crippled, actually, but he's twisted. And his dick don't work, bruh. Or at least it's very painful. So what Aegon does is he has his friends and his Kingsguard have their way with women he finds attractive, and he watches from behind a curtain like a cuck. Because so that he can vicariously kind of live through those men. It's classic George, and how weird and sad it is. Now, I said before, we know that Aegon is going to have some friends. He's going to have Martin Rain, Leon Estamont, and Ned Waters. And it looks like they're giving him friends to bounce off of and banter with and, flesh him out a bit more. And I always thought, okay, but, it's cool to give him friends, but what else are they going to do? And then very recently, maybe yesterday or 2 days ago, there was a behind-the-scenes video that came out, and it showed these two Kingsguard. And the guy on the left looks like the guy who's playing Martin Rain. The guy on the right looks like the guy who's playing Leon Estamont. So it looks like he's going to have 3 friends who then join the Kingsguard, right? Because Howard Westerling has left, and Lawrence Marbrand and Stefan Darklin have sided with Rhaenyra, and Eric Cargill is going to die. So he's like, I need Kingsguard. Arik, sorry. But yeah, Aegon's like, I need Kingsguard, and his friends will be like, hey, we're we're knights, we're probably second sons, etc. We'll join the Kingsguard, and then they can be people who can interact with Aegon more, people for him to bounce off of when they smuggle him out of King's Landing after the fall of King's Landing. Maybe they are the ones who he will hire will hire to do the Great Cuckening. Prediction, episode 6, the Great Cuck scene of 24. I'm telling you right now. He's going to watch his 3 friends go to town on a maid while he's crying behind a curtain. Episode 6, I have predicted it. Thank you. Okay, we have 2 more slides left. So Rickard Thorne, this is a brief one. In the book, we have Sir Rickard Thorne. He's a member of the Kingsguard, and he helps smuggle Aegon out of King's Landing, and he helps to get Prince Maelor to safety. And he ends up being torn apart by a crowd. We don't know if Maelor exists, so whatever. But we do know Rickard Thorne has been cast, and it's this guy. So, yeah, another member of the Kingsguard. So, the new members of the Kingsguard, Rickard Thorne and Martin Rain, Leon Estamont and Ned Waters. Yeah, it's kind of funny that they've cast an old man with a white beard who looks suspiciously like Harold Westerling. Like, to be a Kingsguard, like, I feel like this could be a situation where casual viewers are like, hey, didn't that guy leave last season? Why is he back? But yeah. And then, finally, neither green nor black, we've got some neutral characters. So Simon Strong and Alice Rivers. So Simon Strong, we know that he's the, in the book, he's the great uncle of Larys, right? He's Lord Lionel Strong's uncle. And he's the Castellan of Harrenhal. Daemon forces them to yield. Then after Daemon leaves and Kristen and Aemond go to Harrenhal, they're like, Aemond's like, well, you yielded the castle, you traitor. And then he challenges him to a duel, cuts him down, and then basically wipes out House Strong. And so we're setting up House Strong, and because Daemon hasn't got many people to interact with this season in Harrenhal, it's only really Simon Strong and Alice Rivers. It's like, who are you going to cast to play Simon Strong? Who are you going to cast as one of the few cast members Matt Smith is going to act opposite? You're going to get, after that build-up, I've immediately forgotten his name, Simon Russell Beale, that's it, who was Beria in The Death of Stalin, but on the theatre scene, darling, he's known for, well, he's considered the greatest living English theatre actor. He's won the most awards, I think. I haven't seen him in anything theatre-wise, but he's considered the best. So you have a proper Shakespearean actor playing Sir Simon Strong opposite Matt Smith, and they're going to have a fun dynamic, I imagine. And then, of course, Alice Rivers, we've seen no promo of her, we've seen no teasers, we've seen nothing. I think she's going to spend this season being a sneaky witch and spiking Daemon's drink. And then season 3 is when we will start seeing her and Aemond get together and be an evil power couple. So that'll be lots of fun. So there we have it. Half an hour away till the episode begins. This feels like a good time to wrap up. Thanks for watching. Just to let you know, tomorrow, Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, EDT, Quinn GM and I will be doing post-episode breakdowns. We'll be doing live streams together. And it'll be alternating channels. So I think the first live stream will be on his channel, and then the second, episode 2 will be mine, then episode 3 him, and then it'll keep bouncing back and forth, you know. And on Tuesdays, I'll be doing Discord watch-alongs, where I watch the episode with my patrons in voice chat, so that's patron only. And on Wednesdays, I'll be doing patron-exclusive Q&As discussing, going into the episode in a bit more detail and answering questions and stuff. And then on Sunday, like this stream, right before the episode, I will be doing a solo live stream. Actually, on YouTube. No, Quinn the GM said he might join for a couple, but it'll mostly be solo. Doing spoilery predictions for the next episode. Like the video if you want to help it spread. Join a patron if you're interested in exclusive content and stuff. Check out the merch store if you want Fantasy Haven t-shirts and mugs and stuff to support the channel. I really appreciate it. And I was just about to end the live stream, but I have been informed that Streamlab tips have been sent in. I've just realised that because I installed my SSD and therefore lost all my apps and have been reinstalling them, I haven't yet installed Streamlabs. So I can't access my Streamlabs right now, which means I can't read out the tips. So I'm so sorry. But I promise you, before the next live stream, I will re-download Streamlabs, I will stream through Streamlabs, and I will get to those tips and read them out immediately. Late Lord Haven, very chaotic. Oh shit, the episode's in half an hour. Everyone run, grab your popcorn, grab your dragon cake. House of the Dragon is coming, and it's going to be a very fun 8 weeks of live streams and reviews and some animated content from Lord Haven himself. Thank you, everyone. And let me just double check that I haven't missed any super chats. I don't know. I have missed a super chat. Before I end, thank you for the super chat from Tyler Clark, who says, "Let all true men declare their loyalty for Gaiman pale hair. I'm more of a Trystane Truefire man myself. The real team isn't Team Black and Team Green. The real divide is Team Pale Hair versus Team Truefire." That'll be the HBO marketing. All must choose. The child with the lesbian mums, or the libertarian teenager with the slimy mentor. Okay. Love you all. See you all. Enjoy the episode.